Chapter 117. The shuffle in Suong was too sudden. Feng Qiansui had no time to think about money. He only wanted to save Guagua's life, so he didn't think about money at all. Therefore, the 4.5 million that Chou Yun had was not left by Feng Qiansui to Guagua, but by herself. She was afraid that one day she couldn't hold on anymore, so she left it for Guagua. Now that Chou Yun took out the money, it was obvious that she trusted Su Yun, Ruan Qingshuang, and others very much. Chou Yun's 4.5 million, Su Yun and Ruan Qingshuang's 1.23 million, and Qin Wan Er's 300,000 to buy the car, the total was 6.03 million. It was only 2 million away from the goal of 8 million. Su Yun was confident that he could pay off the 2 million in a month, so he didn't hesitate to use the card to overdraft. "Dad, don't worry. I promise to pay you back in a month." Guagua was not joking. She could see that Su Yun didn't want to use the card. Now the Guagua group is officially established. The 8 million is contributed by everyone, so everyone has shares. Qin Wan was stunned. "Shares? Guagua, I only contributed 300,000. Do you still have shares? If the company is divided into 100 shares, 80,000 shares. Sister Wan your investment will take up nearly 4% of the shares." Guagua counted with her fingers. "But today is different. I am a generous person. I approve you to hold 15% of the shares of the Guagua Group. This investment was really worth it." Qin Wan didn't expect to meet the little god of wealth. Fortunately, she didn't use the money that her dad gave her to buy the car. "Mom, Guagua loves you the most. I will give you 30% of the shares." Guagua was not stingy at all. Ruan Qingshuang didn't know whether to laugh or cry. However, Guagua and Chou Yun had given the most money, so she was indeed qualified to make the decision. Before the hotel was bought, Guagua had already given out 45% of the shares. She counted with her fingers and said to herself, "I'll pay the most. I'm the boss. I want 51% of the shares. Only then will I have the right to speak." Ahem. Su Yun coughed hard. "Guagua, aren't you forgetting something?" He was the key to solving the problem with an overdraft loan. Guagua was thinking of him when they were short of money. Now that they had enough money, was she going to get rid of him after he had outlived his usefulness? How could they forget about him when they were talking about shares? "Dad, Guagua loves you so much. How could I forget you? Didn't I leave you 4%? Guagua clapped her hands. "That's settled. Although we are not listed and we don't have real shares, we will share the profits according to this percentage. Do you have any objections?" Ruan Qingshuang patted Guagua's little head and said softly, "We will do as you say. After all, Guagua is the big boss." Qin Wan immediately said, "Of course, I have no objections. We have agreed that I will get 15%. Of course, I will take such a big advantage. I will get 4%. Su Yun really wanted to hang himself with some noodles. He had put in more money and effort than Qin Wan Qin Wan had put in 15%. "My precious daughter, even if I'm not your biological father, you can't cheat me like this, right? I have overdrawn 2 million to help you." Guagua shrugged. "Next month's profits will be used to pay back the 2 million. It will be the same as everyone's contribution. So, you can't have any objections. What about the 500,000 reward that the police gave me?" Su Yun said pitifully. "That is worth at least 6% of the shares." About this problem." Guagua put her hands on her waist and said, "You, me, Mom, Sister Chou Yun, Sister Wanda, the 5 of us have contributed. So, each of us should get 100,000 yuan. Dad, you have given 100,000 yuan. Giving you 4% of the shares is already very high." F***ck. Vomiting blood. What else could Su Yun do besides vomiting blood? That day you were in school. What did this have to do with you? Sigh. "Dad, do you want money or Mom?" Guagua suddenly whispered in his ear. Do you want money or do you want to live in the circle of beauties? It was hard to choose. Su Yun was silent. Guagua proudly raised her eyebrows. Men become bad when they are rich. So, Dad, giving you 4% of the shares is already a lot. If we calculate according to the annual profit of 20 million yuan, you will earn 800,000 yuan a year. That's an average of 60,000 yuan a month. Hearing Guagua's words, Qin Wan-er was a little scared. 4% of Su Yun's shares was 800,000 yuan a year? If she got 15%, wouldn't she earn 3 million yuan? What a terrifying number. No objections. It's settled. Guagua made the final decision. Now that the problem of money and shares had been solved, all that was left was the problem of prestige. For this, Guagua only needed to give Su Yun a look. Dad, I'll leave the rest to you. Su Yun couldn't help but admire Guagua's careful thinking. She had such a thought at such a young age. When she grew up, she would be great. Her economic mind was much better than most college students who had studied economics for 4 years. The auction was set for 3 p.m. the next day. Su Yun immediately called Chong and the 3 tigers of Nanqing. He asked them to let everyone in the city know that Ruan Qingshuang of Wenhui District's Medicinal Cuisine House, who was now the leader of Hadong City's underworld, Sister Shuang, was going with the mentality that she must win the Hadong International Hotel. If anyone wanted to compete, they had to think about their own ability first. The 3 tigers of Nanqing originally planned to pool their money and see if they could get this fat piece of meat. Now that they heard Brother Yun say that Sister Shuang wanted it, they would definitely give in immediately. They could compete with anyone but them. Once this news spread out, it would be like an endless torrential river. Tomorrow was the day of the auction. Everyone who wanted the hotel was eyeing it covetously. They were also asking each other if anyone had any ideas so that they could estimate their own ability. Therefore, it was easy for Chong and the 3 tigers of Nanqing to complete the mission. When the news spread, it would definitely shock the Hadong City circle. Everyone who wanted to get the biggest hotel in Hadong City withered. Even if they had money, they wouldn't dare to compete with Sister Shuang. After all, they had something to do with the downfall of the hotel's original owner, Lu Sheng. They were also the ones who destroyed Jin Biao's family. No one dared to challenge the authority, and no one dared to snatch the meat from the tiger's mouth. Now, the Hadong International Hotel was basically in Guagua's pocket. She had already decided that the first thing she would do after she got the hotel was to change its name. The name was too disgusting and rustic. It was just like her school. She had to add an international name. It was a small city with a population of 5 million. She might as well call it the Hadong International Hotel. It sounded better. The news that Sister Shuang wanted this fat piece of meat quickly spread to every corner of Hadong City. That night, everyone at the dinner table was talking about the news. Chong and the 3 tigers of Nanqing had successfully completed their mission. Since they knew that Sister Shuang and Brother Yun were determined to get it done, they immediately started paving the way for them. Such a big hotel would need hundreds of employees. They had already started looking for suitable managers. That night, Guagua slept soundly. Even in her dreams, she shouted keywords like 8 million and big hotel. It was obvious that she was determined to win the auction. Ruan Qingshuang looked at Guagua, who was sleeping soundly. She was really shocked when she saw how much money Guagua had taken out at Choyun. She had never thought that Guagua was the princess of a rich family. Thinking of this, Ruan Qingshuang felt a lump in her throat. She couldn't believe that Guagua had endured so many grievances with her. There were a few times when Ruan Qingshuang, who was alone, almost couldn't hold on. She even felt that life was far easier than death. Almost every time, she persevered with amazing perseverance. Because every time she was about to be defeated by life, she would firmly tell herself that as long as she was alive, good things would definitely happen. Ruan Qingshuang always felt that the goddess of luck favored her. The day before she found Guagua, the rogue LV Bao took away all her remaining savings. If it weren't for Guagua, perhaps Ruan Qingshuang would have completely given up the medicinal cuisine restaurant. Although Guagua gave her the motivation to persevere, the harassment from the Four Wolves gang almost made her want to give up. This time, she and Guagua met Su Yun. Life always had ups and downs. Just like the 4 seasons, there were always changes of flowers blooming and withering. Just like the weather was sunny, and thunder and lightning, almost nothing in the world could stay the same. The next day, Guagua woke up early and woke everyone up to buy clothes. She called Chong to be their driver. At least Chong was now driving an Audi A6. Although it was not a prestigious car, at least it was not shameful. Today, she had to hold up her face. Of course, Guagua had to dress up well. Of course, she didn't only dress up herself, but also dressed up Mrs. Ruan and Sister Cho Yun. As for Chin Wan as a policewoman, she was responsible for the security of the scene. Of course, she had to wear a uniform. Cho Yun was dressed up as usual by Guagua. She was dressed in tight and domineering clothes. Her exquisite curves could amaze people to death. Her frosty temperament could definitely make the birds fall and the geese fall. For Ruan Qingshuang, Guagua chose a particularly elegant dress. The effect of the dress on the upper body was definitely not covered. It simply set off Ruan Qingshuang like a beautiful goddess. Of course, she was not careless. From head to toe, she was dressed like a little princess. Guagua's requirements for Su Yun were, of course, very strict. Even if Su Yun forced her to refuse, she still asked him to dress up methodically. A white-gray checkered shirt with a blue cowboy bow tie, and straight black casual pants showed his legs. In the end, she also changed Su Yun's beloved pair of flip-flops. Although the leather shoes were not handmade in Italy, they were still more than 1,000 yuan. After 2 hours, Guagua settled everyone. She spent more than 8,000 yuan, all of which were paid by Chong. Guagua's reason was very simple. Her money was to buy a hotel. She couldn't spend it recklessly. Chapter 118. Su Yun's tall, rich, and handsome appearance really made people's eyes light up. Chong couldn't help but sigh. Clothes really make the man. Wasn't my previous outfit handsome? Su Yun said unhappily. He felt uncomfortable wearing it. I haven't worn this kind of clothes since I was young. It's so uncomfortable. Guagua shook her head helplessly. However, she definitely wouldn't allow Su Yun to wear slippers and a skeleton vest today. That would be too embarrassing for her mother, and Cho Yun. In the end, Su Yun and Guagua reached an agreement. Su Yun could wear this outfit, but he definitely couldn't wear a bow tie. Guagua also agreed, but she requested that Su Yun's top 3 buttons be undone. That way, he would look more arrogant. In the end, Su Yun was dressed up by Guagua to look like a frivolous and unrestrained hedonistic young master. Obviously, it would be more appropriate to put him next to Ruan Qingshuang and Cho Yun. If it weren't for this hotel, Su Yun wouldn't wear such a tight outfit. Damn, with this pair of pants, if he were to fight, he would be able to tear his pants apart. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the 4 of them were punctually driven to the venue by Chong. The auction venue was the large conference hall of the Hadong Hotel. There were 30 rows of tables and chairs inside, which could accommodate 500 to 600 people. This lineup was really not small. When the 4 of them got out of the car, they saw Chin Wan. Chin Wan had already reserved seats and numbers for them, so the treatment was naturally extraordinary. When the beautiful trio led by Su Yun entered the venue, it immediately caused an uproar. A handsome man and a beautiful woman paired with a princess like Guagua definitely attracted everyone's attention. Ruan Qingshuang and Cho Yun, one was noble and unparalleled, and the other was cold and elegant. Naturally, they became the focus of everyone's eyes. After all, there weren't many women at the auction, so Su Yun didn't attract much attention. After all, Su Yun was a low-key young man. Cho Yun and Feng Qiansui had long been accustomed to this kind of scene, but Ruan Qingshuang had never experienced this kind of soul-stirring scene. Under so many pairs of eyes, she felt somewhat uncomfortable. Guagua didn't care that her limelight had been stolen. She was confident that she would be even more peerless in 10 years. There are so many people. Ruan Qingshuang approached Su Yun uncomfortably. She felt more secure only when she was beside Su Yun. Su Yun nodded. Looks like today's event is bigger than I thought. Originally, Su Yun thought that since the three tigers of Southern City had released the news, a considerable number of people would give up coming to the auction. However, what he didn't expect was that Lu Shang's villa was also a very popular place, and the feng shui of that place in the eastern suburbs was definitely the best place in Hadong. Since ancient times, Huaxia had always been the best place in the east. In addition, there was another reason. Although almost everyone who was optimistic about this hotel had given up, many people who hadn't seen Ruan Qingshuang and Su Yun wanted to see them. This was also one of the reasons why the auction was so popular. Some of the local tyrants who had some status in Hadong had already begun to whisper that the two girls were classics. As for Su Yun, of course, they didn't have a good impression of him. Regardless of whether they said it or not, they all had the same idea. It was really a case of good cabbages being eaten by pigs. It wasn't that Su Yun couldn't tell what these bastards were thinking, but he was too lazy to argue with them. They could think whatever they wanted. Finally, the three tigers of Southern City saw Su Yun and Ruan Qingshuang in the corner of the venue. They hurried over to greet them. "Sister Shuang, Brother Yun, you're here." Although the voice wasn't loud, it was enough for people to hear. Moreover, the speed at which the message spread was no slower than the speed at which it was forwarded on Weibo. In an instant, the whole place was in an uproar. This made Ruan Qingshuang even more uncomfortable. She wasn't used to being the center of attention, and now she was the center of everyone's discussion. She couldn't get used to it at all. "Mom, you're so famous," Guagua said with a smile. Then, she sighed. "Sigh, it seems that Sister Guagua's reputation hasn't spread yet." Now, with Ruan Qingshuang's prestige in Hadong City, everyone knew about her. The three tigers of Southern City's reclaimed forces were all under Sister Shuang's name. Under the lead of the three tigers of Southern City, the four people who shocked the whole place came to the seats that Qin Wan had reserved for them. The four of them sat down, and the whole place quieted down. Some people around Ruan Qingshuang didn't even dare to breathe loudly. After all, the person in front of them was the number one person in Hadong City's underworld. However, the silence only lasted for less than half a minute. What followed was the sound of people whispering. Ruan Qingshuang couldn't hear what they were saying. These people didn't dare to speak loudly, for fear of disturbing Ruan Qingshuang. "Achoo! Achoo!" Su Yun's nose itched, and he sneezed twice in a row. This time, the whole place quieted down again. It was so quiet that even a pin drop could be heard. It showed how powerful and domineering Su Yun was in everyone's eyes. *T. Su Yun rubbed his nose. 1 thought, 2 scolded, and 3 worried. "I sneezed twice. Who scolded me?" Although Su Yun was talking to himself casually, everyone was so nervous that they held their breaths. The gazes of the three tigers of the Southern City looked around. This time, the faces of those who were jealous of Su Yun earlier turned green, as if they were afraid of being seen through. They didn't even have the courage to look at the three tigers of the Southern City. "Brother Yun, no one here dares to scold you." Dan Hongning smiled bitterly. "That's hard to say." Su Yun's sixth sense told him that there was an unfriendly gaze staring at him. However, because of his identity, he didn't ask who would secretly stare at him. While they were talking, the auctioneer appeared. He was a middle-level leader of the government's state-owned assets department. He didn't need to say any polite words to quiet down, because the place was already very quiet. "Good afternoon, everyone. Today, everyone is here for the same purpose. I won't say any more nonsense. The following things will be handed over to the auctioneer. You just need to be ready to raise your cards." The auctioneer walked to the stage after the leader's speech and smiled politely. "Today's auction is very special. Everyone is very clear about it, so I don't need to introduce it. Now, let's talk about the first auction item. This is a 2-story villa with more than 600 square meters. It is located in the villa area in the eastern suburbs of Hadong City. I think everyone knows that place. Maybe there are some owners living there." It was very quiet. Su Yun looked around. Almost everyone present was a member of society. It was impossible for a corrupt official from the government's work department to come here. This also confirmed his confidence that he could win the hotel with 8,010,000 yuan. Let's cut to the chase. Everyone knows the value of this villa. The starting price is 1 million yuan, and the increment is 10,000 yuan. The auctioneer smiled. Now, the auction officially begins. As soon as the auctioneer finished speaking, the whole place was silent. It seemed that everyone's eyes were focused on Ruan Qingshuang, waiting for her to make a bid. If it weren't for the fact that he was tight on money, Su Yun would have shouted, "Forget it, for the sake of the hotel, I'll bear with it. After all, if I buy the hotel, everyone can stay in the private rooms on the top floor. There's no need to buy a villa at all." Finally, someone confirmed that Ruan Qingshuang didn't have any intention to buy the villa and shouted the first bid. 2 million. The auctioneer pointed. Number 37 bids 2 million. Is there anyone else who wants it? With the first person's lead, the whole place was instantly stirred up. 5 million. 2 million. 1 million. 6 million. Although the increment was 10,000 yuan, the price of the villa was originally very low, so most of the bids were increments of 100,000, 200,000, or even 500,000 yuan. The starting price of the villa quickly rose to 5 million yuan. At this time, the main event had just begun. The people who bid later were the buyers who were determined to get the villa. 6 million. This time, the price was raised by 1 million yuan. It was really ruthless. 8 million. There were really many rich people in Hadong City. 10 million. Wow, what kind of boldness was this? It directly rose to 8 digits. The price of 10 million yuan stunned everyone. The auctioneer smiled faintly. 10 million. Number 50's friend has bid 10 million yuan. Is there anyone else who wants it? The person who bid 10 million yuan was not an outsider. It was Lu Feng, one of the 3 tigers of Nanqing. He was the richest among the 3 of them and had been in the construction industry for many years. He knew that the villa in that location was now worth at least 15 million yuan. Even if he sold it, he could still make 5 million yuan. Anyway, Lu Feng was sure that Sister Shuang and Brother Yun weren't interested, so he boldly bid. When the crowd saw that it was Lu Feng, who was sitting next to Ruan Qingshuang and Su Yun, who bid, they all thought about it and didn't know if they should bid. 10 million yuan going once. The auctioneer tried his best to liven up the atmosphere. This is a villa area with an excellent location and excellent feng shui. You're buying at this price, and you can rest assured that you'll make a profit if you buy it. Guagua rolled her eyes. F***CK. This guy is a TV direct seller, isn't he? Lu Feng was very confident. No one would spend 10 million yuan and offend a popular person like him. Just when everyone was ready to watch LV Feng earn a bargain, a girl's clear and melodious voice rang out, 20 million. Shock. Even Su Yun and Cho Yun, 2 people with high mental fortitude, couldn't help but be shocked. Lu Feng almost fainted. He looked in the direction of the voice. Because there were too many people, he couldn't see clearly. He could only conclude that it was a girl in her 20s. Everyone looked over and discussed who this girl was. It was as if they had never seen her before. Buyer number 165, 20 million going once. The auctioneer was overjoyed. This kind of person was what they liked. Of course, no one would bid again at this price. They wouldn't be able to make a bargain if they increased the price further. 20 million, going twice. The auctioneer had already raised his hammer. Going thrice. Sold. Congratulations to buyer number 165 for winning the villa in the eastern suburbs. She was truly a heroic-spirited woman. She had shocked the entire place. Compared to Ruan Qingshuang and Su Yun, her limelight was even greater. Su Yun smiled and looked at Lu Feng. What's the background of that girl? She even dares to snatch the house that you like? Hee hee, she's not simple. It seems that there are many powerful people in Hadong City. Chapter 119. Guagua stood up to take a closer look. It seemed like she was the only one who could see the girl's face clearly. Even Guagua could not help but praise. That sister has such a luxurious temperament. No wonder she's so generous. Beautiful girls are different. Luxurious temperament? It was the first time Su Yun had heard such a high level of praise. He really admired Guagua's ability to express herself. Sit down. Our target is coming. Guagua stuck out her tongue. Dad, you're not interested in beautiful girls? That's not your style. That sister is really beautiful, and her temperament is second only to me. Su Yun smiled helplessly. You're really my goddaughter. How confident you are. Dad, you really don't want to look. Don't regret it, Guagua said and sat down. Su Yun really wasn't in the mood to look. Lu Feng had prepared 10 million yuan for this villa, and along the way, he had also prepared 8.03 million yuan for this hotel. Who knew what unforeseen events would happen? The auctioneer was very proud of the high price. He became even more excited. The next item for auction, I don't need to say anymore. It's where we are now. Hadong City International Hotel. This is a landmark in Hadong City. Everyone here knows the value of the hotel better than I do. But the starting price is only 8 million. Everyone, are you ready? There was no reaction. No one looked at the auctioneer. They were all looking at Ruan Qingshuang. Last night, almost everyone in Hadong City knew that Ruan Qingshuang was determined to win. Who would dare to compete with her? The starting price is 8 million. The minimum increment is still 10,000. Haha, but I don't think anyone will do that, right? The auctioneer said with a smile. He raised his hands. The bidding starts. Guagua stood up as fast as lightning and held up the number 1 bidding card in her hand. My mother bids 8.01 million. Everyone's attention was attracted by Guagua's childish voice, but what attracted them even more was the number 1 bidding card. Everyone present knew that the number 1 bidding card belonged to Ruan Qingshuang. The auctioneer was also shocked by the silence. There was really someone who increased the bid by 10,000. He was about to collapse. However, after 8.01 million, no one called out another bid, which made the auctioneer even more speechless. Number 1, bid 8.01 million. Hee, little kid is really interesting. The auctioneer smiled. There was no way they would sell at this price. Even the land in this place was worth more than this. He looked at the crowd and said, Please continue to raise your paddles. However, what surprised him was that no one actually opened their mouths to bid again. He had been looking forward to breaking the 10 million mark, but the entire crowd went silent. Haha, everyone, you may continue to raise your paddles. The auctioneer suspected that everyone was deaf. Guagua was a little impatient. Hey, no one has spoken for so long. Shouldn't you shout 1, 2, 3 times and sold already? Some of the government officials present frowned, including Chen Wei. He really did not expect Ruan Qingshuang and Su Yun to be so powerful in Hadong City. No one dared to compete with them. Chen Wei had investigated Ruan Qingshuang for a while, but he did not find anything wrong with her. Now, it seemed that she was hiding her true colors. It was really necessary to contact the 2 experts sent by the higher-ups to investigate. At this time, Chen Wei did not know that the 2 experts were already far away from Hadong City and had driven back to Yanjing to report on their work. People who came out of Dragon's Fury did not need to say goodbye to him. Moreover, Azure Dragon Qian Feng was still drunk that day, and Yin Long and Fan Shuanger would not bring him along to embarrass themselves. In the back row of the auction, the girl who had been praised by Guagua for her luxurious temperament frowned. She didn't understand why the auction had turned out like this. She had thought that the price of this hotel would soon reach 30 million and above. When that time came, she would definitely be able to shock the crowd by shouting 50 million. She was prepared to take it down with 100 million, but she did not expect that no one would raise the price after a child called out 8 million and 10,000. The girl's lips curled into a faint smile. This was an interesting auction. She decided to play along with the little girl. 8,010,000, going once. The auctioneer did not want to continue. What was going on? This was ridiculous. This hotel was worth at least 10 times more than the starting price. Guagua looked at Ruan Qingxuang and Cho Yun proudly. Although Qin Wan, who was standing at the entrance of the auction, was prepared, she was still shocked by the reality. Sister Shuang's prestige was like that of a god. Guagua's auction plan seemed to be going very smoothly. Just as everyone was waiting for the final call to end the auction, the clear voice of an oriole rang out again. 8,020,000. The originally silent auction hall was suddenly filled with an impulse. Everyone's eyes turned to the girl who took the villa from Lu Feng for 20 million, but no one would have guessed that the girl only increased the price by 10,000. Guagua stood up and glared at her. Humph, the goddess that she had just praised as beautiful and elegant suddenly became an ugly old witch in her eyes. The auctioneer did not know whether to laugh or cry. What kind of farce was this? What were these people trying to do? This was a serious auction, not a child's play. 8,030,000. Guagua's enthusiasm was directly aroused. This was all they had brought this time. Su Yun did not know whether to laugh or cry. If he increased the price again, he would have to borrow money from Chong and the 3 tigers of Southern City. How embarrassing would that be? No wonder he had always had a bad premonition. This thing really came true. Halfway through, there was finally a Chang Yao Jin, which really made him feel helpless. 8,040,000. The luxurious girl played it down. Guagua gnashed her teeth in hatred. Even if this princess had to sell everything she had and borrow money from everywhere, she would still beat you. She put her hands on her waist and shouted, 8,050,000. This farce actually continued. The two of them were like 2 angry children, each shouting 10,000. In 10 minutes, after shouting more than 20 times, the price of the hotel rose to 8,500,000. However, no one at the scene felt bored and left. Everyone wanted to see the final result and how Sister Shuang would deal with it. They wanted to see what kind of person this Chang Yao Jin who came out of nowhere was. The boring bidding made the auctioneer completely speechless. He really did not understand why the officials did not directly raise the price to 1 million. That way it would not be like this. Everyone else looked at it stupidly, which made him feel even more depressed. Finally, the luxurious girl was too lazy to continue playing with Guagua. She smiled slightly and raised her paddle. 30 million. Hua! The scene was silent. The auctioneer's eyes lit up. This was more like it. It seemed that the real bidding had just begun. Chen Wei and a few people from the government finally showed a smile. Phew, if it really sold for more than 8 million, then they would really have something to cry about. They would definitely be scolded to death by the new municipal party secretary. It's over. A thought flashed in Su Yun's mind. They had no chance of winning this hotel. Ruan Qingxuang did not care. She did not think that she could get such a big bargain. It did not matter if she could not buy it. Her medicinal cuisine restaurant was quite good, and the monthly income was very good. There was no need to make such a big deal. Cho Yun sighed. Guagua's farce should end. Qin Wan was somewhat disappointed at the entrance of the venue. She could have become a shareholder here, but now she was afraid that her dream was gone. If she had known, she would not have told Guagua about the auction. In this world, the greater the expectation, the greater the disappointment. The other party suddenly shouted 30 million and directly prepared to overwhelm Guagua with an overwhelming advantage. However, Guagua was not a master to be trifled with. She had been with Feng Qiansui since she was young and had seen many things. What had Guagua not seen before? 30 million wanted to overwhelm her? Humph, in your dreams. 50 million. Guagua glared and said in high spirits. She did not care that she did not have the money in her pocket. Humph, you want to play with this princess? You are still too early. Even if this princess does not have the money to buy it, I will raise the price and make you feel uncomfortable. Ruan Qingshuang and Cho Yun were stunned. 50 million. Su Yun almost vomited blood. You really dare to shout? Where are you going to get so much money? This girl probably wants him to rob a bank. However, the luxurious beauty was not moved at all. She still said in a light tone, 80 million. When she heard the other party's bid, Ruan Qingshuang was relieved. If the deal was made just now, she could not take out 50 million even if she was beaten to death. It was simply a fantasy. Guagua knew that she had really met a rich person. However, her impulse made her unable to control her competitive heart. Guagua gritted her teeth and shouted out a 9-digit number that shocked Ruan Qingshuang to death, 100 million. The audience was silent again. The luxurious beauty in the back row frowned. It seemed that the opponent she met was not playing house. They were really capable. If this continued, she would not have enough money on her. It seemed that she would not be able to buy this hotel. You win. The luxurious beauty put down the number in her hand and smiled at Guagua. In Guagua's eyes, this smile was gloating. This time, it was over. Guagua lowered her head and looked at Su Yun and Ruan Qingshuang. Her face was full of the pitiful expression of a child who had done something wrong. F***ck. Su Yun was completely defeated. Do you think that I will forgive you if you make this expression? This was not as simple as you breaking someone's glass. This is even more serious than you kicking the family jewels of the grandson of the neighbor's family. 100 million. Even robbing a bank might not be able to get that much money. Su Yun completely collapsed. Ruan Qingshuang almost fainted. Guagua saw that her pleas were useless and could only look at Cho Yun. Cho Yun's face was expressionless. Guagua had fooled the government. This was not a joke. If things went wrong, they might even commit a crime. Although Guagua would definitely be fined because of her young age, the adults would not be able to get away with it. Chapter 120. Guagua looked at Su Yun helplessly. She was afraid that she could only count on her father now. Su Yun smiled bitterly. My dear ancestor, if this was a private auction, I would not want it in the end. At most, I would pay some money or threaten to settle it privately. But this is an official auction. If you don't buy it, aren't you playing with the public? Ruan Qingshuang had begun to think about how to explain. Cho Yun rubbed her temples and her face became a little embarrassed. 200 million. Just when Su Yun, Ruan Qingshuang and others were at their wits' end, a hoarse voice with a strong breath shouted out a sky-high price. This was the most terrifying buyer of the day. 200 million. How generous was he? Cho Yun trembled all over as if she had been electrocuted. Guagua also frowned. This voice was so familiar. Of course, all this did not escape Su Yun's eyes. Just by looking at Cho Yun's panicked look and feeling the strong momentum of that person, it was enough to show that this person did not come with good intentions. Su Yun turned around slightly and his face began to change slightly. He had hawk eyes, brown hair, a blue face, a high nose bone, and a little mixed-race facial features. His strong body of more than 1.8 meters was very eye-catching. This person did not avoid Su Yun's eyes. Suddenly, he slowly raised his left hand, flattened his 5 fingers across his throat, and made a gesture of cutting off his head. His gloomy smile made everyone present feel uneasy. Su Yun had already seen the ghost tattoo on his forehead. Seeing this bastard making a gesture of cutting off his head to Su Yun, how could the 3 tigers of Nanqing be willing? They slapped the table and stood up. Kong Zhong took the lead and scolded, "Who do you think you are? How dare you challenge Brother Yun?" As soon as he finished scolding, Lu Feng and Dan Hongning were about to step forward. Even though there were quite a number of police officers here, this group of hooligans who had never been angered before were unable to control the anger in their hearts. The 3 tigers of Nanqing were very clear that today, this person had humiliated Brother Yun in front of so many people. If they didn't get back at him, Brother Yun's prestige in Hadong would inevitably be seriously damaged. "Stop," Su Yun whispered, stopping the Southern City 3 tigers from courting death. Even Cho Yun didn't dare to look him in the eye. How could they afford to offend him? Su Yun sneered in his heart and said to himself, I knew you would come, but I didn't expect you to come so early, Green Ghost. When Su Yun narrowed his eyes cautiously, his body began to emit a faint aura. There were too many ordinary people here. If Green Ghost acted rashly, he couldn't care less about hiding his strength. Even if everyone present was shocked to death, he couldn't just watch Green Ghost kill the innocent. However, Green Ghost had no intention of making a move. He smiled and said to the auctioneer, It's time to drop the hammer, right? 200 million. Sold. Just when Cho Yun was ready to fight to the death and turned around, she couldn't see Green Ghost's shadow anymore. Where is he? Cho Yun frowned, and her face was full of murderous intent. Su Yun frowned and said, If he doesn't want to make a move here, then we don't have to fight him here. After all, there are too many innocent people here. Take Guagua back and be careful. The auction ended, but the crowd didn't disperse. They were all waiting for Sister Shuang and the others to leave first. Qin Wan didn't feel as disappointed as before. This place was bought by someone for 200 million. It was a number she didn't even dare to think about. Guagua's 8 million plan had failed. Are you that disappointed? Qin Wan saw the expressions on Guagua and Cho Yun's faces. She couldn't help but be shocked. Even Su Yun's expression looked bad. Only Ruan Qingshuang was able to accept it. Guagua realized the severity of the situation from Cho Yun's expression. It seemed that the person who had bid 200 million was the person who had caused the Feng family to lose their foothold in Suong. The three of them weren't depressed because they didn't get the hotel. It was because of the person who had suddenly appeared. How dangerous was Green Ghost? It wasn't something that could be explained in a few sentences. Cho Yun had fought him before. She had experienced it firsthand. She couldn't withstand a single blow from Green Ghost even if she used her full strength. That was when Green Ghost hadn't used his full strength. Green Ghost's 7 death palms was definitely a martial art that could break people's hearts. Ruan Qingshuang wasn't affected at all. She didn't think that the hotel was theirs to begin with. She didn't even know who the person who had bid 200 million was. Guagua, okay. Tell Mom what you want to eat. Mom will take you to buy it. Ruan Qingshuang comforted Guagua. Guagua shook her head and forced a smile. Mom, let's go home. Oh. Guagua doesn't have an appetite right now. I don't want to eat anything. Qin Wan went forward and patted Guagua's head. Don't be so listless. Cheer up. It's just a hotel. We'll have more chances in the future. Su Yun went forward and pulled Qin Wan to the side. You better stay away from the buyer. He's not a simple person. Qin Wan was startled when she heard this. Endless doubts arose in her heart. The more Su Yun said this, the more curious she became. Qin Wan, don't think that I'm joking with you. Su Yun said in a low voice. If anything happens later, you better not get involved. When Red Scorpion reported what had happened in Hadong City to Green Ghost did have the urge to kill. He understood why Red Scorpion didn't come back, but such a person was a traitor to him. Even if Red Scorpion was his #1 warrior, he still had to kill him. Green Ghost, who had just stabilized his foundation in Suong, didn't think that Red Scorpion couldn't even do such a small thing. Originally, he didn't plan to come personally, but after thinking about it, he decided to come personally. Originally, Green Ghost thought that Red Scorpion was under a team, just like the people who were chasing him in Suong. He didn't think that Red Scorpion would lose to a helper that Cho Yun had found. Green Ghost didn't believe it. So what if there were 2 first-rate experts? After all, Cho Yun had been seriously injured by him. Even if she wasn't dead, she was probably just a piece of trash. In this kind of situation, there was no need for him to do anything. Because all the major powers in Suong were surging, Green Ghost couldn't get away. The reason why he rushed to Hadong City in the middle of the night was to see if there was someone who really gave him a headache. Now that Green Ghost had seen it, he was relieved. Those people he was worried about weren't there. Maybe Red Scorpion said that he failed because he didn't try his best. Since it was like this, Green Ghost decided to leave quickly. Suong couldn't be without him. Although Green Ghost had left Hadong City, he had left behind 3 masters. He also said that whoever killed a man beside Cho Yun could replace Red Scorpion and take the position of the #1 expert under Green Ghost. Originally, the competition for the #1 expert under Green Ghost was fierce. This was a position that was second only to one person and above tens of thousands. Now that Red Scorpion had given the 3 of them a chance, they obviously had to grab it. After walking out of the International Hotel, Su Yun asked Chong to send Ruan Qingxuang, Cho Yun, and Guagua home. He was still a bit worried about Qin Wan. After all, Green Ghost's appearance made him use 200% of his energy. Green Ghost could also use Qin Wan as a breakthrough point and use this to declare war on them. After all, Qin Wan was innocent. Su Yun didn't want anything to happen to her. He was able to let Cho Yun and Guagua leave because he was sure that Green Ghost wouldn't attack openly. If he wanted to do that, he probably would have done it earlier. If Green Ghost really did attack, apart from Su Yun, no one else would be spared. The fact that Green Ghost didn't attack meant that he still had some scruples. He wasn't crazy enough to not fear any power. The chaos in Su Hong's underground world had already made Green Ghost be targeted by the relevant departments. Perhaps he didn't want to attract attention elsewhere. If the relevant departments in Huaxia had evidence, it wouldn't be hard to deal with him. Su Yun wanted to give Green Ghost a heavy blow before he attacked. He wanted to let him know that Hadong City wasn't as simple as he thought. However, at this time, Green Ghost's figure couldn't be found in the entire auction. After about half an hour, Su Yun saw the busy Qin Wan. What happened? The person who bought the hotel just now was just messing things up. Qin Wan was furious. He was quite confident when he shouted 200 million, but now he can't even be found. Pay. Shit. Su Yun froze. Could it be that he made a mistake? If Green Ghost had already intercepted Guagua and Cho Yun halfway, then things would be troublesome. I'll go back first. If there's any news about that person, let me know immediately. Su Yun turned and left. He could only pray that Chong had already brought them back to the medicinal cuisine restaurant and that Green Ghost hadn't done anything to them yet. Su Yun was just about to rush back to the restaurant when a graceful figure blocked his way. Why are you in such a hurry? Su Yun was startled by the crisp voice of an Oriole. He raised his head and saw that the person in front of him was indeed the one who had bought the villa for 20 million and forced Guagua to raise the price of the hotel to 100 million. What Guagua said was indeed correct. The temperament of this top-grade beauty in front of him was really indescribable. Her cool spaghetti strap dress revealed her smooth pearl-like shoulders. Her voluptuous silhouette was faintly discernible, and her slender, snake-like waist was alluring. This figure was really exquisite and graceful. Could it be that this beauty was working for Green Ghost? Su Yun was just about to be suspicious, but he had to dispel his doubts. This beauty definitely didn't have that kind of aura, so she definitely couldn't be working for Green Ghost. After looking at her carefully, Su Yun had more doubts in his heart. Why did he feel that she was somewhat familiar? Could it be someone he had met in a previous mission? But he couldn't remember if he had met a beauty who could hide all her aura. Forget it. Su Yun didn't have the time to play pickup games with some beauty. Sorry, I'm in a hurry. If fate wills it, I'll contact you later. Chapter 121. Su Yun suddenly realized why this beauty looked so familiar. The last time he chased after Jin Biao in the Tuachuo Mountains, he had stolen this girl's bicycle. Su Yun had long forgotten about this, but he didn't expect to meet her again today. Humph, looks like you remember. The other party said indifferently, I thought you were just a bicycle thief, but it looks like I was wrong. You're not as simple as I thought. You can even afford 100 million. You're really not simple. Su Yun smiled bitterly. He couldn't say that Guagua was playing with him, could he? At this time, no one could say for sure. Anyway, the matter was over, and no one could get the land of the hotel. There was no need to explain anything, and he really didn't have time to explain it to her. "I'm really not a thief. Please believe me, I'll definitely pay for your bicycle. I'm at the Medicinal Cuisine restaurant in the Wenhui district. You can find me any time, but I have something urgent to do now. I hope you understand." Su Yun frowned. The beauty in front of Su Yun refused to give in. "Something urgent? To the Wenhui district? You're not going to run back, are you?" "I'll take a taxi." Su Yun was startled. He couldn't say that he could really run faster than taking a taxi, right? The beauty waved her hand. "Let's go, I'll send you. You can also pay me back for the bicycle, or I'll take you directly to the police station." Su Yun didn't refuse. "Okay, I'll pay you back immediately when I get back. We'll be even then. I hope you can leave quickly." Su Yun didn't want to involve people for no reason. If Green Ghost didn't go to the Medicinal Cuisine restaurant, he would immediately pay for the bicycle. If Green Ghost had already gone, then he probably couldn't care less about her. Humph. The beauty snorted and frowned. This was the first time she met a man who was eager to draw a line with her. She was the 9th daughter of the Tang family. When had she ever been treated so coldly? And the other party was a man. Tang Jiu, who had always been arrogant and confident, felt like she had been slapped in the face by Su Yun. Of course, she wouldn't take it lying down. Now, both old and new grudges were added together. Tang Jiu had developed a strong interest in cycling after watching the Tour de France once. Through her friends, she had joined the largest cycling association in the provincial capital, Jibei. The cycling association would go on an excursion every month. Last time, they had chosen the ancient cultural city, Hadong City. Initially, Tang Jiu did not plan to ride a long distance. However, due to some special reasons, he decided to make a trip here. Who would have thought that Tang Jiu would be so unlucky? It was his first time riding a long distance for a day. Just as he was about to go to the hotel with his team to rest, he bumped into a man on the side of the road. That man snatched his car like a lunatic and left. What was even more ridiculous was that the president of the association, who was also the leader of the cycling team, had led a group of cycling experts to chase after them, but they had been left in the dust by who knew how many streets. Tang Jiu was naturally enraged. The 9th daughter of the Tang family in the provincial capital, Jibei City, had her bicycle stolen in a small place like Hadong. However, this time, Tang Jiu did not have the time to lose her temper over such a small matter. 10 minutes after losing her bicycle, she received a call from home. Something had happened to the Tang family. The Tang family was different from other families. The size of the Tang family was unimaginable. Although Tang Jiu was the 9th child of the 4th generation of the Tang family and was the youngest, her father was the head of the 3rd generation of the Tang family, Tang Jingtian. Tang Jiu was an only child. Therefore, this left a lot of uncertainty for the current head of the Tang family. Firstly, it was because she was a girl. Secondly, it was because she was the youngest. However, no matter what, she was still Tang Zhengtian's daughter. Speaking of Tang Zhengtian, everyone in the Shanhe province who had heard of him would definitely tremble slightly. Therefore, Tang Jiu was naturally a little ancestor that ordinary people could not afford to offend. When she lost her bicycle in Hadong City last time, it was not because she wanted to admit defeat. It was because she really did not have the time to deal with it. She did not expect that when she came to Hadong City to find a suitable place for her father to retire, she would meet the person who had stolen her bicycle again. Based on the people's attitude towards this person at the auction, Tang Jiu quickly concluded that this person was not a simple person in Hadong City. Moreover, he had 2 stunning beauties by his side. If he was an ordinary person, how could he have such luck? Therefore, Tang Jiu did not say anything at that time. She just observed. After dealing with the matter of the villa, she did not expect to see this person again. Although Tang Jiu was born with a silver spoon in her mouth, she knew what it meant to keep a low profile. Even if she could invest thousands of dollars to buy a luxury car and was even prepared to spend hundreds of millions on fixed assets, she did not drive a particularly extravagant car. Instead, she drove a gray Audi that cost less than $400,000. It was so low profile that no one would notice it. It was obvious that Tang Jiu's principle of keeping a low profile when she went out alone was the truth. Su Yun. In the car, Tang Jiu's voice was somewhat provocative. Right? I want to see what kind of urgent matter you have. Su Yun smiled slightly. How do you know my name? Just now, everyone in the auction was talking about you. Tang Jiu continued, it seems that Hadong City is your world. No one dares to raise their paddles for the things that your little sister bids for. Little sister? He didn't know if Guagua would like this title if she knew. She definitely would not like it. After all, Guagua definitely did not like this person. Then what's your name? Su Yun changed the topic. Tang Jiu. Su Yun smiled slightly. That's an interesting name. Don't tell me you're the 9th child? Tang Jiu nodded and said while driving, why do you care? So what if I am? I'm the 9th child. I didn't expect your parents to be so good at giving birth. Su Yun sighed. Even the country's family planning was dragged down by a family like yours. You misunderstood. I'm the only child of my parents. The rest of my brothers and sisters are all cousins, Tang Jiu explained. Su Yun nodded. Her family had a strong sense of family values. This was definitely not something that a child from an ordinary family would have. In addition, Tang Jiu was so generous. It was enough to prove that the Tang family was not a small family. Although Tang Jiu kept talking, her driving speed was not slow. Although it was not considered as fast as lightning, it was definitely not slower than any other car on the road. Su Yun didn't know if Chongzi had taken a detour on the way. When Su Yun arrived at the medicinal cuisine restaurant, his Audi A6 stopped at the door unhurriedly. When Su Yun got out of the car, Tang Jiu opened the door and walked out. This guy kept saying that he had something urgent. She wanted to see what it was. However, no matter how urgent it was, she was going to get the money for the bicycle today. Chongzi was dumbfounded when he stopped the car. F*CK, Big Brother Yun was really a man on the outside. He had managed to bring back such a top-notch beauty without a sound. His luck with women was really impressive. Tang Jiu stood beside the car, not caring about other people's gazes. When Guagua got out of the car, she almost jumped up. Dad, why did you bring this witch back? Tang Jiu frowned when she heard that. Dad. Damn. Because Su Yun looked at most 25 or 26 years old. How did such a big child suddenly appear? Unmarried child? Pay, it was a slip of the tongue. Unmarried child? Isn't this too fashionable? Old witch, what are you doing here? Guagua was aggressive. No matter how Yuan Qingxuang pulled her back, she could not stop her. She could only ask Chou Yun for help. Chou Yun could not detect any killing intent from Tang Jiu, so she did not pay much attention to it. She quickly focused all her attention on the surroundings, afraid that Green Ghost would suddenly appear. Little brat, what did you call me? Tang Jiu was not someone to be trifled with. She frowned. I'm as beautiful as a fairy. How dare you call me a witch? Do you want me to seal your mouth shut? Guagua was unwilling. Old witch, how dare you call me a little brat? Who do you think I am? Humph, let me tell you, when I grow up, my beauty will be miles ahead of yours. My figure too. No, how can I compare to an ugly witch like you? Sigh. Tang Jiu's mouth twitched a few times. She had lived for 21 years, and no one had dared to speak to her like that. How dare he call her an ugly witch? Humph. Many people in the northern meadows worshipped her like a goddess. Many people secretly called her the beauty of the Shanhe province. Today, a little brat actually said that he would be prettier than her in the future. Humph, little brat, do you think it's that easy to be pretty? Let me tell you, you'd better go through the 18 stages of womanhood. Even if you look cute now, you might become an ugly duckling in the future. Tang Jiu sneered. Not to mention, you're not cute at all. Guagua broke down. How dare someone say that she was not cute? She had been loved by everyone in Suang since she was young. Flowers bloomed when they saw her, and tires burst when they saw her. How dare someone say that she was not cute? Sparks flew between their gazes. Su Yun was speechless. Damn, this Tang Jiu is really invincible. She can't even get along with a 7-year-old child. Guagua was the same. Why did she have to compete with someone so much older than her for looks and figure? Damn, you haven't even developed yet. What will happen when you do? Ruan Qingxuang looked at Guagua, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. Sigh, when enemies meet, their eyes turn red. But after all, neither of them had managed to take down the hotel. There was no need for them to fight to the death, right? All right, let's talk inside, Ruan Qingxuang said. Guagua was unhappy that she didn't manage to take advantage of Tang Jiu. She noticed that Chong was staring at her in a daze, so she kicked him angrily. What are you looking at? Be careful that the witch doesn't gouge your eyes out. Chong's face turned red and white. He scratched his head in embarrassment. Although Sister Shuang and Cho Yun were both beautiful women, they didn't have the charm that this girl had. It was a feeling that men couldn't resist. Tang Jiu was very proud. She purposely wiggled her fully developed body in front of Guagua and walked into the medicinal cuisine restaurant. Su Yun almost had a nosebleed. She was a demon. Guagua regretted that she wasn't born 10 years earlier. Humph, then she wouldn't have had the chance to be so arrogant. Chapter 122. Dan Jiahao, who was originally very excited, couldn't help but be stunned when he saw Tang Jiu. This woman was indeed very charming. However, the woman's attraction to Dan Jiahao was far less than Brother Yun's peerless martial arts. After regaining his senses, Dan Jiahao hurriedly went forward and said, Brother Yun, how is it? Did you get the hotel? Su Yun shook his head. F***CK. Who dares to mess up Brother Yun's plan? I'm going to kill him. Dan Jiahao clenched his fist and said angrily, Me. Tang Jiu said confidently, What do you want? Dan Jiahao's heroic spirit instantly dissipated. Of course, he couldn't do anything to such a beauty. But why did Brother Yun bring this woman who messed up the plan back to the medicinal cuisine house? Did he want to punish her? Humph. Guagua coldly snorted. This witch was really annoying. She actually acted as if she was in the right. Guagua's plan to buy a hotel with 8,010,000 yuan was completely ruined. How could Guagua not hate her to the core? Chong, you go back. Send Dan Jiahao back on the way. Su Yun said lightly, so that his brother won't say that I'm abusing a minor. And Chong nodded and glanced at Dan Jiahao. Kid, let's go. Dan Jiahao was unwilling, but he didn't dare to disobey Su Yun. He was afraid that Su Yun wouldn't accept him as a disciple if he was unhappy. Brother Yun, I'll go back first. Su Yun nodded and didn't say anything. After Chong and Dan Jiahao left, he told Ruan Qingxuang about his relationship with Tang Jiu. Everyone suddenly realized that there was such a thing. Ruan Qingxuang knew it. How could anyone make things difficult for others for no reason? There was such a misunderstanding between her and Su Yun. I'm really sorry about what happened last time, but I remember telling you that you can come and find me. Su Yun was very serious about admitting his mistake. After all, he had destroyed someone else's bicycle. But you didn't come looking for me. How would I know where you are? Tang Jiu was speechless. Hadong City may not be big, but it has at least a few million people, right? I'd rather go fishing for sea cucumbers than look for you, right? Ruan Qingxuang smiled and held Tang Jiu's hand. Miss Jiu, I'm really sorry. Su Yun definitely didn't mean any harm. Since we met today, it proves that we are fated to meet. How much is your car? We'll pay you back. Seeing that Ruan Qingxuang was so gentle, Tang Jiu didn't want to lose his temper again. I don't think you can't afford it, so I won't argue with you. The car is 30,000 yuan, so give me 30,000 yuan. After saying that, Tang Jiu extended his hand to Su Yun. 30,000? The atmosphere in the medicinal cuisine restaurant froze for a moment. Ruan Qingxuang looked at Tang Jiu awkwardly. Her expression was obviously unnatural. Ah, 30,000, so much? This car is too expensive. Tang Zhou shrugged his shoulders. This is still okay. Su Yun wanted to cry. 30,000 yuan, damn it. If he knew that the car was so expensive, he wouldn't have snatched it from Jin Biao. 30,000 yuan in one go? Now that Jin Biao was in jail, who could he ask for the money? Damn fatty Jin, he crushed 30,000 yuan in one go. Guagua couldn't take it anymore. She slammed the table and stood up. 30,000? Why don't you go rob a bank? They'll give you 3 million if you rob a bank. Have you gone crazy thinking about money? Su Yun knew that Tang Zhou, who dared to fork out 20 million yuan to buy a villa, wouldn't care about 20 or 30,000 yuan. The car was definitely worth that much. Do you want the receipt? I usually keep the receipt in the car. I can take it out and show it to you at any time. 31,750 yuan. If I say one more cent, I'll eat all the plates in your restaurant. It seemed that Tang Zhou was serious. I've already given you a discount of more than 1,000 yuan. If you're still not satisfied, then pay me the full price. Ruan Qingshuang swallowed her saliva. She could tell that he wasn't lying. What if we don't give it to you? Guagua threatened. What can you do? I'm afraid you can't do anything, right? Humph, bite me if you can. Tang Zhou frowned. Little brat, who do you think I am? Let me tell you, there's nothing I can't do in this world. If you don't believe me, you can try. Guagua put her hands on her waist and snorted. Old witch, you're bragging so much. Why don't you feel embarrassed? There's nothing you can't do in this world? I feel that you can't do what this princess can do. Humph, little brat. Why don't you try? Tang Zhou didn't care about Guagua at all. Then let's make a bet. Guagua raised her eyebrows. How about it, old witch? Do you dare to make a bet with me? If you can do what I do, then I will concede defeat and return the 31,750 yuan to you, not a cent less. However, if you can't do what I do, then I'll take the money and we'll call it quits. How about it? How could Tang Zhou lose to a little brat? She immediately agreed. Okay. It's a deal. I want to see how I can't do what a little brat like you can do. Humph. Don't go back on your word. Don't cry if you lose. Guagua's eyes flashed with a sly light. You have to remember what you just said. Su Yun suddenly felt an ominous premonition. He felt ominous for Tang Zhou. With his sharp sixth sense, Su Yun had already determined that Guagua would definitely win. Tang Zhou was definitely not a match for this little brat who had so many tricks up her sleeve. Ruan Qingshuang shook her head helplessly. She really didn't know what the two of them were going to do. Chou Yun didn't want to participate in this kind of boring bet. She directly turned around and went out to check the situation. She definitely wouldn't be able to sleep tonight. The threat of Green Ghost was too big for her. Guagua arrogantly declared war on Tang Zhou. Just you wait. Then, she ran upstairs. Tang Zhou looked confidently at Guagua, who ran upstairs. He thought to himself, even if this little brat is playing tricks, it's definitely something that I've played with before. Su Yun finally decided to kindly remind Tang Zhou. Tang Zhou, you better be mentally prepared. It's not that I'm confident in my daughter, but you really aren't a match for her. Your family members are really confident. Tang Zhou said disdainfully. It's just that you chose the wrong opponent. Speaking of which, isn't it a little too early for you to have a child? I'm her godfather. Su Yun smiled bitterly. He didn't even know what a woman felt like after more than 20 years. How could he have a child? Tang Zhou exclaimed. She knows how to have a godfather at such a young age. That's ridiculous. Hey, isn't your taste a little too heavy? She's such a young child. How can you do that? What are you thinking about? Su Yun really wanted to kill himself. I'm really a godfather, not a rotten old man who takes advantage of a young girl. A minute later, Guagua suddenly appeared upstairs. She actually took off her fluffy princess dress and walked down in only a pair of underwear. Her soft skin had a little baby fat, and she looked very cute. Her face was full of pride. Soo-yoon was stunned. Although he guessed that this little devil's trick would be a wicked one, he didn't expect it to be so wicked. Soo-yoon laughed in his heart. She's really worthy of being my godfather's daughter. Her brain is really good. Today, he saved the 30,000 yuan. Ruan Qingxuang blushed. Guagua, what are you doing? Why aren't you wearing any clothes? Aren't you embarrassed? Hurry up and put on your clothes. Guagua walked down with a smug smile. Humph, she wasn't afraid of being taken advantage of. There were only her mother and father in the medicinal cuisine restaurant. Anyway, it wasn't like her mother hadn't seen her when she was bathing. At most, she would let her father take advantage of her. Anyway, she hadn't developed yet, so she wasn't afraid. Tang Jiu's face turned green. She didn't expect this little brat to play such a trick on her. How is it, old witch? Didn't you say that there's nothing you can't do in this world? Guagua was getting more and more arrogant. Can you do what I can do? Can you do the same if I stroll around the hall in so little? Hee, forget it. You don't have to walk so much. You just have to stand here for 3 seconds in this dress, and I'll consider it your win. Tang Jiu clenched her fists. She didn't expect to lose to a little brat. How could she accept this? If she knew this little brat had so many tricks up her sleeve, she wouldn't have made this bet. Soo-yoon couldn't help but look at Tang Jiu. He couldn't help but imagine Tang Jiu standing where Guagua was wearing this dress. Damn, I can't hold back my nosebleed. This is too crazy. Soo-yoon would rather take out 30,000 yuan in hopes that Tang Jiu could do what Guagua did. Guagua, stop fooling around. Sister Tang Jiu is just joking with you. Ruan Qingxuang tried to smooth things over. Soo-yoon was in the wrong, and now Guagua was making things difficult for Tang Jiu. She felt bad. Guagua didn't buy it. How is she fooling around? I didn't say that. She said that there's nothing she can't do in this world. You win. I'm willing to accept my loss. Tang Jiu snorted. Since she had made the bet, she had to accept her loss. The one who couldn't accept the loss was the most embarrassing. About the bicycle, we're even. When Guagua heard that she could save money, she immediately smiled and said, Old witch, seeing that you are also a particular person, this princess will not bicker with you. Little brat, let's wait and see. Since I'm in Hadong City today, that means we'll meet again in the future. Tang Jiu said, It's hard to say who will win the next time. Soo-yoon smiled. You're welcome to Hadong City. Humph. Like father, like daughter. Tang Jiu did not love the house and its crow. He even looked down on Soo-yoon. Ruan Qingxuang frowned. Miss Tang Jiu, how can you do that? I have to pay you back for the bicycle. Are you looking down on me? I've already said that I'm willing to accept my loss. I don't want it anymore. Tang Jiu said stubbornly. Soo-yoon didn't say anything courteous. Okay, then when you come to Hadong in the future, you can come to the restaurant if you want to eat. It's free of charge. Take it as my thanks for lending me your car the other day. Tang Jiu glared. Fine, I'll eat until you're broke. Chapter 123. Soo-yoon, you're a guest. Aren't you going to send me off? Tang Jiu was already at the door, but she realized that Soo-yoon had no intention of getting up. She was upset. She couldn't accept being ignored. Ruan Qingxuang pushed Soo-yoon. Go send her off. Soo-yoon was about to break down because of the clothes on his body. He could only endure it for a while. It wasn't a big deal to send her off. Seeing the two of them leave, Guagua put her hands on her waist. Mom, it's already so late. You're letting Dad go out with a stranger. Aren't you jealous? Ruan Qingxuang looked at Guagua speechlessly. Go upstairs and get dressed. Guagua stuck out her tongue and ran upstairs. The two of them walked out of the medicinal cuisine restaurant and came to the car. Su Yun's mission was completed. Drive carefully. If you have the chance, come and try the medicinal cuisine. Because Tang Jiu's charm was too strong, Su Yun could only come in to avoid being alone with her. He wasn't a cat that didn't eat fish. If he didn't want to make a mistake, he had to deal with it at the root. Of course, although the people in your restaurant don't really welcome me. Tang Jiu snorted. I won't miss the chance to taste good food for free. I've heard about the medicinal cuisine in Hadong City. I'm looking forward to it. Why don't you order 2 medicinal cuisines and take them away? Su Yun smiled bitterly. He was just being polite. Did she have to agree so quickly? With Tang Jiu's personality, she would definitely fight with Guagua. If she fought with Cho Yun, the consequences would be unimaginable. Tang Jiu rolled her eyes at Su Yun. Only a fatty would eat at this time. Su Yun sighed lightly. As expected of the demeanor of a young lady from a prestigious family, she even controlled her meals. Her expectations for herself were too high. He couldn't do it. He was very hungry now and wanted to eat a big meal. Tang Jiu wasn't in a hurry to leave after getting in the car. Instead, he handed the receipt of the bicycle to Su Yun through the window. Don't worry. The food I ate definitely isn't worth this money. Su Yun took the receipt and smiled bitterly. It was really a bicycle worth more than 30,000 yuan. Damn Jin Biao. If there was a chance, he would definitely settle the score with him. Now that Jin Biao was in prison, it was already very miserable. If he knew that Su Yun was still thinking about him, he would probably even have the heart to die. After watching Tang Jiu drive away, Su Yun felt that the atmosphere around the medicinal cuisine restaurant was a little strange. Logically speaking, Cho Yun shouldn't be too far away, but she didn't seem to be around the restaurant. Su Yun frowned as an ominous premonition arose in his heart. Since Green Ghost was already here, there was no reason not to attack. Could it be that Green Ghost wanted to play dirty with them? It couldn't be. This ominous premonition made Su Yun frown more and more. Just as Tang Jiu's car was about to disappear in front of Su Yun's eyes, the brake light suddenly lit up. Su Yun vaguely saw the rear of the car swing violently. Drifting? It couldn't be. After all, Tang Jiu didn't look like an unreliable person. She didn't need to drift alone in the middle of the night. Su Yun didn't have time to think too much and immediately ran forward. His keen sense of smell made Su Yun feel the threat from afar. He was very clear that Green Ghost had started to attack. He didn't want Tang Jiu to get involved in this mess for no reason. Tang Jiu was already scared out of her wits. Less than 200 meters away from the medicinal cuisine restaurant, a woman in leopard print tights suddenly appeared in the middle of the road. Tang Jiu was so scared that she slammed on the brakes. However, it was too sudden. Even if she managed to stop in time, the woman was still standing within the sudden braking distance. Seeing that the woman in front of her was about to be hit, Tang Jiu's heart was in her throat. She didn't want to cause any more trouble for the Tang family at this critical moment. If that happened, her uncles would have even more reason to take away her position in the Tang family. The Tang family's prosperity was almost all due to Tang Zhengtian's own strength. Now that Tang Zhengtian's body was in trouble, the other members of the Tang family wanted to take away his position in the Tang family. Right now, the only person who could help Tang Zhengtian was his daughter, Tang Jiu. Tang Jiu didn't dare to do anything to her uncles because of her father's face. Now that they were so aggressive, Tang Jiu could only think of a place for her father to rest and then think of a way to deal with the Tang family's bad habits. If Tang Jiu killed this person today, she would lose everything. However, the moment the car was about to hit the woman suddenly slapped the front of Tang Jiu's car with one hand. Her fingerprints were instantly imprinted on the hood of the car. The car came to an abrupt stop and tilted to one side. Tang Jiu, who was originally covered in cold sweat, was even more shocked. The woman in front of her was definitely not an ordinary person. Just this move alone was enough for her to conclude that she was an expert. This made Tang Jiu even more shocked. Who would plant an expert to attack her? Tang Jiu couldn't care less. She opened the door and got out of the car to escape. However, the woman didn't give Tang Jiu a chance to escape. She leaped into the air like a ferocious leopard and attacked Tang Jiu's back. Just as Tang Jiu thought that she was going to die, a silver figure flashed past. With a boom, a fist landed squarely on the woman's claw that was about to grab Tang Jiu's back. The woman in leopard print tights quickly jumped back. Her right foot landed in front of her as she took a right bow stance. Her upper body remained in a defensive position as she stared at the man who suddenly appeared in front of her. "Your opponent should be me, right? It has nothing to do with her." Su Yun looked at the woman in leopard print tights. He looked at the woman's steel-like fingers and smiled. "Leopard lady, if you can't even figure out who your opponent is, I'm afraid you won't be far from death." A leopard's might was not as strong as a tiger's, but its strength was greater than a tiger's. Leopards like to jump and jump. They had to use all their strength, clench their fists, and bend their fingers like iron hooks. Su Yun recognized the opponent at a glance. To be able to use the leopard fist so skillfully, who else could it be other than Leopard Lady? Tang Jiu was stunned. Looking at Su Yun's lightning-fast moves, she finally knew why the Bicycle Association's captain couldn't catch up to Su Yun that day. It turned out that Su Yun was not an ordinary person. He was an expert that was different from ordinary people. Leopard Lady was recognized by Su Yun and did not deny it. She sneered. "As expected of the person that our boss has taken a fancy to. You are indeed not simple." Leopard Lady, a first-rate realm level 5 expert. She was like the Black Widow and other poisonous women in the underground world. Although she became famous later, her actions were vicious. Her notoriety was far higher than that of the violent fox Venerable Cho Yun. Ever since Cho Yun joined Feng Chensue's faction, the name Leopard Lady had been added to the list of women who stirred up trouble in the underground world. "She has nothing to do with me, so don't get the wrong opponent." As Su Yun spoke, he had already forced his true chi out of his body, and a powerful pressure attacked Leopard Lady. Leopard Lady was slightly startled. Her thoughts were the same as Green Ghost's. When Scarlet Scorpion told them that he had met an opponent that surpassed the realm of a super expert, they didn't believe him at all. They only thought that the opponent was at most a first-rate realm level 9 expert, and Scarlet Scorpion was afraid of being scolded by their boss, so he exaggerated. In Green Ghost's opinion, although a first-rate realm level 9 expert was terrifying, if the 3 people he left behind avoided the attack, they would not die. If they joined hands, they would have an absolute chance of winning. That was why he chose to leave and not fight. Moreover, this kind of expert was like a treasure, so Green Ghost couldn't bear to kill him. That was why he decided to let the 3 people he left behind control the people around him, and then use coercion to force Su Yun to join him. This way, the Green Ghost sect would become even more terrifying. Leopard Lady's target was originally Qin Wan but she didn't expect that there would be an accident midway. There were too many policemen around Qin Wan so it would be too easy for her to expose herself. At this time, Tang Jiu took the initiative to contact Su Yun, and even sent Su Yun back to the medicinal cuisine house. This made her think of making a move on Tang Jiu. Tang Jiu still didn't understand what was going on, and even thought that this woman's target was him. "It seems that boss has really underestimated you." "Humph, our target is only Fox Venerable and that child. It has nothing to do with you. Why are you helping them?" Leopard Lady quickly became nervous. A super expert, that was an expert who was at the same level as Boss Green Ghost. She would definitely not rashly attack a super expert. That was tantamount to hitting a rock with an egg. Although she also had the Yin Yang pill on her, she knew very well that even if she relied on medicine, she could only fight against a first-rate realm level 9 expert. It was absolutely useless against a real super expert. After all, a super expert's internal strength had already been transformed into a true chi, so she couldn't hurt him. Green Ghost left. Su Yun was startled. He didn't expect Green Ghost to be so arrogant, but Su Yun still carefully considered the credibility of Leopard Lady's words. "Why should I believe you?" Leopard Lady snorted. "Do you think that if our boss was here, he would still need to waste time with you like this?" These words were indeed true. Su Yun suddenly narrowed his eyes, and the corner of his mouth revealed an evil sneer. Since Green Ghost looked down on him, then there was no need for him to be merciful. Anyone who was a threat to them would be killed. After feeling the strong killing intent of the other party, Leopard Lady finally lost her calm. It's useless even if you kill me. I'm afraid that Violent Fox Venerable has already been controlled by Flowery Monk. Only I know where they are. If you kill me, don't even think about finding her. What did you say? Su Yun clenched his fist until it made a loud cracking sound. No wonder Cho Yun didn't come back after leaving. It turned out that he had met his match. Flowery Monk was a first-rate expert who was on par with Scarlet Scorpion. If it wasn't because Scarlet Scorpion's concealed weapon was better than Flowery Monk's Demo Pearl, then the title of the #1 expert under Green Ghost's command might have been Flowery Monk. Cho Yun was probably more of a threat to Flowery Monk than Scarlet Scorpion. After all, Scarlet Scorpion was purely sinister and ruthless, while Flowery Monk was addicted to women. Su Yun didn't dare to imagine what would happen if Cho Yun was defeated by Flowery Monk. Let's make a deal. Leopard Lady could see the anger in Su Yun's heart. If she wanted to keep her life, then she had to give him a reason to keep her life. Let me go now, and I'll bring you to find Violent Fox Venerable and Flowery Monk. How could Su Yun not see through Leopard Lady's thoughts? As long as he followed along, then she could join hands with Flowery Monk. If two first-rate experts were to consume the forbidden medicine, Yin Yang Pill, at the same time, there was still a possibility for them to fight against him. Since that was the case, then Su Yun would let them know what a true super expert was. He also wanted to experience Leopard Lady's Leopard Fist and Flowery Monk's Demo Pearl, so he agreed, all right. Chapter 124. Tang Jiu looked at Su Yun blankly. Su Yun helped her to the car and whispered, "This has nothing to do with you. You should leave Hadong as soon as possible. I don't want anything to happen to you in my territory." Who are they? Tang Jiu was not someone who had not experienced great storms. She calmed down very quickly after the shock. Why would they attack you? Su Yun smiled. He could come up with an answer for Tang Jiu's calmness. She had seen experts before, so she was calm. Looking at the Panther Lady who was 30 meters away from him, Su Yun told Tang Jiu in a voice that only the two of them could hear, "After tonight, they will all be dead." Without waiting for Tang Jiu to speak again, Su Yun's figure flashed and directly jumped towards the Panther Lady. The Panther Lady did not hesitate and immediately turned to run. The two of them quickly disappeared into the night, leaving Tang Jiu standing alone beside the car. Occasionally, a few passing cars would honk angrily and even roll down their windows to curse the guy who parked in the middle of the road. However, they were all stunned by Tang Jiu's beauty. Tang Jiu sat in the car, her heart surging. If she could have Su Yun's help, why would she need to be afraid of the threats of her uncles? Since her father's condition could no longer be improved, she might as well let him completely withdraw from the internal strife of the Tang family and leave the rest to her. No matter what, Tang Jiu had already made a decision. She had to get Su Yun's help. Since that was the case, she could not sit by and do nothing. Thinking of this, Tang Jiu turned the car around and quickly returned to the medicinal cuisine restaurant. Although that brat was despicable, she still decided to help Su Yun protect the people in the restaurant. The environment within a 1-kilometer radius of the medicinal cuisine restaurant was too quiet, so Cho Yun felt uneasy. Just as she was about to go back and tell Su Yun about this uneasiness, a figure blocked her from behind. "Violent Fox Venerable, I didn't expect you to be able to escape from the hands of the boss. He, the taste of the 7 extinction palms must not be pleasant, right?" The voice was sharp and high-pitched, just like a woman's. However, this person's body shape was completely different from a woman's. He had a bald head and an abnormal height of more than 2 meters. Coupled with his rock-hard muscles, there was a string of fist-sized steel prayer beads around his neck. He was simply a monster. Cho Yun was shocked. She quickly turned around and leaped out. With a flash of cold light, the Dragon Abyss flexible sword was already in her hand. She cried out in alarm, "Flowery Monk!" Green Ghost didn't appear, but Green Ghost's subordinates appeared again. Cho Yun was shocked, but at the same time, she was glad that it wasn't Green Ghost. If it was Green Ghost, she really didn't know if she would have the courage to fight again. The Flowery Monk was a man second only to Scarlet Scorpion in the Green Ghost sect. However, he himself didn't think so. He never felt that Scarlet Scorpion was very powerful. He was just a vile person who could pretend to be profound and use hidden weapons. He, Fox Venerable, this poor monk has always admired you. If you follow this poor monk can also plead for you in front of the boss. The Flowery Monk's bald head was especially dazzling under the night light. His pair of narrowed eyes sized up Cho Yun's perfect body without any hesitation. Cho Yun naturally knew of the Flowery Monk's evil reputation. This person's heart was very lascivious. He was filled with greed for money, power, status, and women. His bald head wasn't because he was a monk, but because he was born bald. When he first came out of the underground world, he received the title of a monk. However, later on, because he committed all kinds of crimes, he was called the Flowery Monk by more people. Because the things he did were heinous, he quickly became a wanted man. In order to save his life, the Flowery Monk became a subordinate of Green Ghost and concealed his identity. He hid for more than 3 years, so much so that many people even forgot about this evil person in the past. And this time, during the conflict in the underground world of Suong, the Flowery Monk once again appeared in the underground world. The moment he appeared, he did a few crazy things. Among them, he raped the wife and daughter of the leader of a small underground force in Suong and molested a young girl who wasn't even 10 years old. In short, this person's actions were really heinous. Cho Yun's eyes suddenly revealed a cold light. The Long Yuan soft sword in her hand trembled and made a hissing sound. She directly pierced towards the Flowery Monk's face. The Flowery Monk was shocked. He didn't expect Cho Yun to attack him without any warning. However, although he was shocked, he didn't panic. He quickly retreated to avoid the attack and quickly took out the pure steel Buddha beads on his neck. It was a bit far-fetched to say that his weapon was Buddha beads. After all, no one had seen Buddha beads made of steel. However, the Flowery Monk carved the 6 characters of the Great Bright Mantra, Mani Padme Hum, and the Great Merciful Great Guanyin Bodhisattva Mantra on each of the fist-sized steel beads. He even named his weapon Dharma beads. Fox Venerable, this poor monk has given you a chance. If you don't grab it, don't blame this poor monk for being rude to you. The Flowery Monk's face turned red and white. Then he sneered, this poor monk likes to resist. It'll be boring if you don't resist. Shut your dog mouth. Cho Yun used cloud-piercing kick to hook the Flowery Monk's chin. Once again, the Flowery Monk was forced to retreat by Cho Yun's swift and violent attacks. Then, Cho Yun used wind-destroying grass to directly cut the Flowery Monk's neck. Pa! The Flowery Monk suddenly waved the Dharma beads in his hand and directly deflected Cho Yun's Dragon Abyss flexible sword. If it was a normal sword, it would have broken into pieces. Fortunately, the Dragon Abyss flexible sword was a century-old famous sword. In addition, Cho Yun's body was protected by her inner energy. Therefore, it did not suffer much damage. Fox Venerable, I'll give you one last chance. Hand over the child and play with me for one night. Then, I'll let you live. The Flowery Monk sneered and licked his lips. You should know that if I bring you back to boss, you'll definitely suffer a fate worse than death. Try me if you can. Cho Yun's murderous aura became more and more intense. The Flowery Monk had completely stimulated her murderous intent. The Flowery Monk's gaze turned cold. He really could not bear to attack such a beautiful woman. However, since she refused to obey him, there was nothing he could do. Fox Venerable, I know what you're thinking. Don't think that you can escape this disaster just because you have a helper by your side. Although boss has left, I'm not the only one left in Hadong. What? Cho Yun's expression changed. She was shocked. She did not know what Green Ghost was going to do. So the violent Fox Venerable also has times when she's afraid. Another voice came from behind Cho Yun. Cho Yun was shocked and quickly turned around. The man behind her had deep eye sockets. His hair was messy like firewood. His red lips were brighter than a woman's. His huge rosacea made his facial features unbalanced. There was also a deep scar on his left cheek. It was obvious that it was left behind because the wound was not treated in time. What an ugly man! He was as ugly as one could imagine. The scarred clown! Cho Yun could not help but exclaim in her heart. The ugly man raised the corner of his mouth slightly, revealing a creepy smile. I didn't expect so many people in this world to recognize me. Cho Yun's mind buzzed. When did the scarred clown become a member of the Green Ghost sect? She could not describe her shock with words. After all, the scarred clown was a legend 5 years ago. 5 years ago, he was already a top-tier rank 9 master. But wasn't he already locked up in the international prison of Mardi Franz Island? How did he escape? How did he become Green Ghost's subordinate? Hee, Fox Venerable, I remember that you were fighting with me. You didn't have time to be distracted, right? Before Cho Yen could recover from her shock, the flowery monk's voice rang out behind her. Although I'm a person who has tender feelings for the fairer sex, I've never had tender feelings for a woman who doesn't obey me. The fist-sized demo bead hit Cho Yun's back with a huge force. Cho Yun did not have time to defend and took the hit directly. Cho Yun spat out a mouthful of blood and staggered 2 steps forward. Cho Yun's body that had been recuperating since she came to Hadong City was injured again. It was not because she was too weak, but because her opponent was too strong. You shouldn't have entered my attack range. The scarred clown sneered at Cho Yun. His ugly face looked particularly scary in the night. He suddenly raised 2 daggers in his hands and said coldly, I hate people who are prettier than me the most. Several cold lights suddenly slashed at Cho Yun's cold face. Cho Yun was shocked and quickly raised the dragon abyss to block. After 2 clangs, Cho Yun was finally unable to block all the attacks of this fierce person who was a few levels higher than her. Seeing that the knife was about to cut through Cho Yun's face, the flowery monk suddenly swung the demo bead and knocked away the daggers in the scarred clown's hands. He scolded sternly, Are you crazy? You want to destroy such a beautiful face? I still want to take a few more looks. The scarred clown sneered. Since he had just arrived at the Green Ghost sect, he did not flare up at the flowery monk. Then we'll talk when you're tired of playing. A perverted smile appeared on the flowery monk's face. He said to Cho Yun with a lewd smile, He, how can I be tired of playing with such a beautiful woman? Before you become the boss's slave, I won't let go of this opportunity. If you become the boss's slave, I won't have the chance to touch you. Aren't you afraid that the boss will know that you touched her? The scarred clown said coldly. The flowery monk's eyes flashed with a ferocious light. I can cut off her tongue. When the time comes, if she doesn't say anything, you don't say anything, and I don't say anything either. How will the boss know? The scarred clown snorted and ignored this guy who was more daring than the heavens. Cho Yun endured the injury on her back and took advantage of the moment when the flowery monk was distracted to get up and escape. She knew very well that she was no match for the 2 of them. If she did not inform Su Yun as soon as possible, things would be troublesome. Seeing Cho Yun escape, the flowery monk was shocked. He did not expect her to be so agile after being hit by his attack. Chapter 125. The flowery monk said angrily, Don't hurt my beauty. However, the scarred clown was too lazy to care about the flowery monk. The daggers in his hands were like 2 dragons searching for pearls as he attacked Cho Yun's face. In his eyes, the violent Fox Venerable was not a weak woman. After all, she was a famous figure in the underground world. Cho Yun quickly blocked with her sword. The weapons clashed and sparks flew in the dark. Cho Yun had already been hit by the flowery monk's attack from the back. She was afraid that her injury would worsen, so she did not use all her strength to fight back. She could only retreat in defeat. Beauty, are you all right? The flowery monk was already standing behind Cho Yun. His smile made him look even more despicable. Cho Yun did not say anything. Her face was gloomy and ruthless. She quickly turned around and stabbed the flowery monk's throat like lightning. The flowery monk was shocked. He quickly waved his pure steel Buddha beads to block the attack. He couldn't believe that Chou Yen, who had just received a heavy blow from him, could still have such a quick reaction speed. He didn't dare to let his guard down. The steel balls in his hands danced, and a combo strike golden bell directly smashed towards Chou Yen. If Chou Yun retreated, she could definitely avoid the flowery monk's attack. However, the murderous aura behind her made her cautious. She knew that if she retreated, she would easily enter the scarred clown's attack range. She would then be attacked from both sides and would have no chance to defend herself. With that thought, Chou Yun turned around and used the long yuan soft sword to block the flowery monk's double attack. Chou Yun was already at her limit after taking the first attack. The second attack injured her again. After all, close combat was not Chou Yun's forte. She needed space to fight as she was good at using the soft sword. The two opponents were top-notch experts. Obviously, they knew this very well. Therefore, they did not give Chou Yun any space to attack. Under the pincer attack of the two, Chou Yun did not have any space to attack. Chou Yun's eyes were like lightning. Her heart skipped a beat. If she was captured alive, she would be humiliated. She might as well fight to the death now. At least she would have a chance to perish together with them. Since she could no longer protect Guagua, this was the only way she could help Su Yun. Chou Yun's opponents were both stronger than her. And the scarred clown was much stronger than her. Since she chose to perish together, of course, she had to find a more dangerous opponent. The decision was made in an instant. The dragon's abyss sword in Chou Yan's hand danced. Several sword rays flew out like wild grass, forcing Flowery Monk to continuously retreat. Blood sacrifice! Chou Yun suddenly shouted angrily. She quickly turned around and faced the scarred clown like a phantom. She became one with her sword. Her dragon abyss was like an eagle piercing through the sky as it pierced the opponent's chest. This was Chou Yun's all-out attack. There was no way to defend against it. The scarred clown's back instantly broke out in a cold sweat. Such a suicidal move could only be used by someone who had seen through life and death. Although with his strength, he should be able to deliver a fatal blow to Chou Yen before she stabbed him, if he did not dodge properly, he was afraid that his chest would be directly torn apart by the sharp dragon abyss flexible sword. Chou Yun was forced into a corner. She was fighting like a cornered beast. The scarred clown was not stupid enough to fight the Fox Supreme head-on. Faced with Chou Yun's fatal attack, he did not care about his identity as an expert. He retreated and rolled to dodge in an extremely pathetic manner. He had no intention of fighting. Chou Yun was shocked when her attack missed. She did not expect the scarred clown to be so meticulous. He actually saw through her intentions. Little beauty, you're committing suicide. The Flowery Monk was also shocked by Chou Yan's attack. If he still couldn't see through Chou Yan's thoughts, then he would have wasted his 30 years of life. However, this poor monk can't bear to let you die. As he spoke, the scarred clown suddenly spat out a silver light from his mouth. It directly pierced Chou Yun's left shoulder. Chou Yun was unable to dodge as she had used up all her strength in the previous attack. After her left shoulder was pierced, she instantly felt dizzy. She knew that this was not good. This was definitely not a poisonous needle. It was smeared with a drug that could dispel one's soul. Although she understood everything, Chou Yun could no longer control her body. After her mind went blank, she fell to the ground. Thank you. The Flowery Monk bowed to the scarred clown. Then, he unceremoniously went forward and carried Chou Yun on his shoulder. What a little beauty. But I still prefer her to be stronger. Ha ha ha, it will taste better if she is stronger. This way, the taste will be greatly reduced. Monk, your mouth is too picky. The scarred clown said coldly, if I didn't make a move, I'm afraid she would have already committed suicide. Don't say that it won't taste good. You won't bring the corpse back to the bed, right? The Flowery Monk shuddered. Scar, don't think of me as such a dirty person. My taste isn't that heavy. Stop talking, it's making this penniless monk nauseous. The scarred clown was still sneering. Let's go. I think Panther Lady will bring that woman back soon. The flowery monk smiled evilly and nodded. He, it seems like I'm in luck tonight. It's been a long time since I tasted a pair of swallows. Monk, if that guy called Su Yun agrees to our request, don't even think about touching these two women. The scarred clown sneered. You better not forget what our mission is. The opponent is someone who can defeat Red Scorpion. The flowery monk snorted and said unhappily, Scar, you better not order me around. You're just a newbie in the Blue Ghost sect. In the Blue Ghost sect, only Blue Ghost himself knew that the scarred clown's strength was already above Red Scorpion's. The flowery monk had always been conceited. He didn't even think that his strength was below Red Scorpion's, so he didn't put the scarred clown in his eyes. The scarred clown had no intention of arguing with him. He knew very well why Green Ghost wanted him to stay behind this time. He wanted him to guard the mountain. If the flowery monk and the panther girl couldn't handle it, he had to take the risk by himself. Now that Red Scorpion had been completely abandoned by Blue Ghost, even if he dared to return, he would only die. Therefore, this mission was the proof that he, the scarred clown, was the #1 expert under Blue Ghost. He couldn't allow anything to go wrong. Of course, if he wanted to secure his position as the #1 expert, he had to use force to conquer the people they had to deal with this time. The two quickly arrived at their temporary hideout in the southern suburbs. There was nothing here except for weeds. After they completed the mission, they only needed to light a fire and no evidence would be left behind. The flowery monk couldn't wait to put Cho Yun on the ground. He took off his clothes and grabbed Cho Yun's collar with both hands. Whoosh! A cold light flashed. The scarred clown's dagger sank into the ground in front of the flowery monk. Scar, what's the meaning of this? The flowery monk said coldly, I don't have any grudges with you. You better mind your own business. The scarred clown didn't care about the flowery monk at all. He didn't even look at him. You. The flowery monk glared. If he didn't have a mission, he would have already turned hostile. He lowered his head to look at Cho Yun, who was still cold even though she was unconscious. The flowery monk's lust exploded again. He didn't care about anything else. He wanted to feel good first. Monk, you better not mess around. The scarred clown said indifferently, none of us can figure out what level our opponent is. If your actions anger him, we won't be able to carry out the mission smoothly. The flowery monk clenched his teeth. I don't care. So what if I anger him? I don't believe that he's much stronger than me. It's just that the trash Scarlet Scorpion hasn't been dealt with yet and he's already made boss so nervous. Humph. I'm going to anger him today. After saying that, the flowery monk ignored the scarred clown's dissuasion and grabbed Cho Yun's collar again. Stop. The panther girl's rebuke from afar was like a clap of thunder that smashed into the flowery monk's ears. The flowery monk couldn't hide his anger anymore. He roared furiously, Is it that hard for me to do something? The scarred clown's attention wasn't on the panther girl at all. He looked at the person following closely behind the panther girl and his face changed slightly. The panther girl's face was calm and she quickly joined her own team. Since both of them were here, she had nothing to be afraid of. After the flowery monk's anger dissipated, he realized that there was an uninvited guest behind the panther girl. His face darkened. Panther girl, didn't we agree that you would capture that woman? Why did you lure the main character here today? It just so happens that I have a stomach full of anger and need to find someone to vent it. The scarred clown also stood up. Panther girl, why didn't you follow the plan? Do you think I want to do this? I was bumped into by him midway. I had no choice but to bring him here. The panther girl said coldly, You two better be careful. Scarlet Scorpion didn't lie to boss. The other party is indeed not a simple person. The scarred clown and the flowery monk's faces changed drastically. What did she mean that Scarlet Scorpion didn't lie to boss? Scarlet Scorpion said that the opponent was a super expert, a terrifying expert on the same level as Boss Green Ghost. No one would believe such words. If the violent fox Venerable knew such an expert, she would have invited him over before the Fong family was annihilated, right? Why did he only come over now? Everyone thought that Scarlet Scorpion was lying. Even Green Ghost thought so. Therefore, when the Panther Girl said these words, the Scarred Clown and the Flowery Monk's faces changed. It should be said that they were completely unprepared to face a super expert. The Scarred Clown had thought that the opponent might be a top-tier expert like himself. However, he never thought that the opponent would be even more terrifying than he imagined. He was actually someone who had broken through the top-tier expert's mental state. This matter seemed to be much more troublesome than they had imagined. Of course, after the Scarred Clown estimated his chances of winning, he became more confident. After all, he had his own strength. The Flowery Monk and the Panther Girl were also top-tier experts. One of them was a top-tier expert, while the other was a top-tier expert. With the three of them working together and the Yin-Yang pill, they had at least a 60 to 70% chance of winning. 60 to 70% chance of winning is enough. The Scarred Clown thought to himself. Who hurt her? Chapter 126. After spending so much time together, Su Yun had long regarded Cho Yun as a part of him. Regardless of whether she used to be the violent fox venerable or not, she was now a woman that he needed to protect, just like Ruan Qingxuang and Qin Wan'er. There were many things that Su Yun could ignore, but the only thing he could not ignore was the people he needed to protect getting hurt. Of course, Su Yun could not tolerate two men attacking a woman. Moreover, these two people were notorious for their heinous crimes. Who knew if they had done anything unforgivable to Cho Yun? It's you? The Flowery Monk suddenly cried out. Su Yun's eyes were cold. I let you escape 3 years ago. I'm afraid it won't be that easy for you to escape this time. The Scarred Clown and the Leopard Lady were stunned. They looked at the Flowery Monk. You know each other? This is the person who caused me to hide under the boss's wing for 3 years. The Flowery Monk obviously knew Su Yun. Back then, the people who were responsible for tracking him down were Azure Dragon and Yin Long led by Su Yun. That year, the Flowery Monk was in the limelight. The dozen or so people under him were not ordinary people. In the end, all of them were defeated by the three of them. If he had not been quick-witted enough to crawl into the sewers, he probably would have been locked up somewhere. At that time, the Flowery Monk had just broken through the mental state of a first-rate master. However, in the past 3 years, he had broken through 5 stages with the help of Green Ghost. He was definitely not the Flowery Monk who was in a sorry state back then. The Scarred Clown could not help but be curious about Su Yun. Those who participated in this kind of thing were definitely not ordinary people. Could this person be someone from a mysterious department in Huaxia? But why would such a person be with the violent fox venerable? All kinds of doubts made the Scarred Clown even more cautious. He hoped that he was not someone from Huaxia's mysterious department. If he was, they would not be so easy to deal with. After all, even Green Ghost did not dare to fight with such people in Suong. As long as they didn't offend Huaxia's interests, didn't do anything excessive or destroy the balance of society, and stayed in the underground world, these people wouldn't do anything to them. The Scarred Clown was very clear about this. He was arrested because he broke the rules. For example, Cho Yun caused a huge ruckus in the underground world, but the relevant departments did not put her on the wanted list. What he and the Flowery Monk did was beyond the scope of the underground world. Once they broke the balance of society, they would naturally be targeted. This penniless monk swore back then that I would definitely take revenge. I didn't expect you to deliver yourself to my doorstep today. The Flowery Monk relied on the fact that his cultivation base had improved by leaps and bounds in the past 3 years. Furthermore, he had 2 experts by his side to help him. Naturally, he was filled with lofty sentiments. The Leopard Girl said angrily, "You are not his match." Flowery Monk sneered and said, 3 years ago, this poor monk fought with him. I really don't believe that he can reach the realm of a super expert in 3 years. This penniless monk will expose his facade now. A super expert? Then take a few moves from this penniless monk. While speaking, The flowery monk had already raised the huge steel prayer beads and smashed them towards Su Yun like a meteorite falling from the sky. The anger in Su Yun's heart had already reached its boiling point. He stood up and attacked the flowery monk. With his current true chi protection, he was not afraid of the heavy weapon in the opponent's hand at all. When the fist-sized steel beads were about to smash towards him, Su Yun directly struck them away with one palm. Taking advantage of the momentum, he punched towards the opponent's heart with a fierce wind. Seeing that her companion was about to be hit, the leopard girl jumped up high without hesitation. She gathered her strength and kicked towards the back of Su Yun's fist. She was very clear that they could only win if they worked together. If any one of them was injured easily, it could change the entire situation of the battle. Su Yun's fist wind was blocked, and the flowery monk was able to escape the attack. His heart instantly collapsed. He could not believe that there was actually someone who cultivated faster than him in these 3 years. The value of all kinds of supplementary pills he had taken in the past 3 years was enough to buy a house in Beijing. Flowery monk, if you act rashly, we might not even have our last chance. The leopard girl said coldly, I don't want to die here. Su Yun stood in front of the three with a fierce killing intent. Although he had absolute strength in front of the three of them, he was very clear about how terrifying the three of them could be if they worked together. Not to mention, they definitely had the yin yang pill that Scarlet Scorpion took. The scarred clown said calmly, the three of us must work together. Boss has made a mistake this time. If we want to live, we have to use our brains more. Flowery monk, I'm warning you. If you continue to be stubborn and cause trouble for us, I'll take your life first. The flowery monk did not buy it. Stop talking nonsense with this penniless monk. If you have the guts, then go ahead. The scarred clown sneered, I'll face the attack head-on. The two of you will surround me from the left and right. Remember, the opponent is a super expert. You must attack with all your strength. In the blink of an eye, the scarred clown suddenly exerted his strength and rushed toward Su Yun. He clenched his hands and 2 sharp daggers appeared. He could tell that Su Yun was good at close combat, so he took on the responsibility of facing the attack head-on. His weapon was a dagger. As the saying goes, an inch shorter is an inch riskier. He was the only one among the three who could fight head-on with Su Yun. Whether it was in terms of moves or strength, he was not willing to give up. The scarred clown had never shown his strength since he came under Green Demon. This time, he clearly decided to let the leopard girl and the flowery monk see his true strength. 2 silver lights pierced toward Su Yun's shoulders. Su Yun did not dare to be careless. He knew very well who the opponent in front of him was. When Su Yun was first selected into the Dragon Fury team, he had heard of the scarred clown's notoriety. This guy who had once destroyed 3 big families in Tanglon City and slaughtered 164 people had actually escaped from the Mardi Franz Island prison. It was unbelievable. The moment the two of them exchanged blows, Su Yun's fists turned into palms and quickly blocked the 2 stabs. The scarred clown was indeed extraordinary. Such rapid strength was definitely at the peak of first-class experts. The flowery monk and the leopard girl were also shocked. One must know that their opponent had the strength of a super expert. The two of them definitely did not dare to face him head-on. However, the scarred clown dared to attack head-on. This kind of shock was definitely not inferior to a meteorite falling from the sky. Even the Mardi Franz Island prison can't hold you, but I'm afraid you found the wrong opponent today. Su Yun said coldly. The vital energy in his body suddenly exploded. His fist was like a thunderclap that suddenly attacked the scarred clown's face. The scarred clown had predicted that Su Yun would definitely attack. So, before Su Yun's punch, he had already blocked it with his short daggers in front of him. Su Yun's fist landed on the 2 daggers, but the wind from the fist still made the scarred clown's hair dance wildly. Obviously, he did not relax at all after risking his life to block the attack. Seeing that Su Yun's fist was not injured, he was shocked and quickly retreated. At this moment, the leopard girl and the flowery monk did not waste any more time. The leopard girl's palm was like an eagle's, and her palm was like a whip as she attacked Su Yun's left side. The flowery monk's pure steel prayer beads were like cannon fire as he attacked Su Yun's right side. Su Yun did not dare to take the attacks head-on even with his vital energy shield. He quickly turned around and dodged. The two attacks that contained a huge amount of internal energy hit the air with a boom, creating a loud noise that shook the sky. Cho Yun, who was hit by the soul-dispersing needle, frowned slightly. She seemed to have finally regained some consciousness. Just as Su Yun dodged the attacks of the leopard girl and the flowery monk, the short dagger in the scarred clown's hand was like a shooting star. It changed and shuttled back and forth as it quickly stabbed towards Su Yun's face. Su Yun reflexively raised his fist to block it. The blow was powerful and heavy. The hard and crisp heavy fist smashed into the scarred clown's heart. What a good hammer strike that shook the heavens. The scarred clown spat out a mouthful of blood as his body was thrown a few meters away. The leopard girl was shocked. If the scarred clown was injured, then she and the flowery monk would definitely not be his opponent. In a panic, she had already taken out the yin-yang pill from her pocket. If she wanted to save her life at this critical moment, she would probably have to rely on the help of the forbidden medicine. However, the scarred clown raised his hand to stop her. He coughed and spat out the blood in his mouth. He stood up from the ground with a sneer. "We won." Won? The leopard girl did not understand at all. The flowery monk thought that the scarred clown had gone crazy. He had already spat out blood. How could he talk about winning? Su Yun suddenly frowned. A violent dizziness made him secretly shocked. It turned out that the scarred clown's previous move was completely a setup. He was already prepared to be hit by Lin Huang. All of this was to shoot him with the soul-dispersing needle the moment Lin Huang hit him. Su Yun did not expect himself to be careless in this area. Just now, he was only focused on dealing with the pincer attack from both sides and the frontal attack. He did not expect the scarred clown to use such a sneaky move on him. The scarred clown relied on his internal energy to protect his body to ensure that he did not suffer any serious injuries. However, it did consume too much of his internal energy. If Su Yun were to punch him again, he might really die. Su Yun finally could not resist the effects of the soul-dispersing needle's medicine. His vision turned black as he fell to the ground. The leopard girl's heart also completely relaxed when Su Yun fell. The fear on the flowery monk's face slowly turned into an evil smile. The scarred clown tried his best to calm down his chaotic state of mind that was shaken by Su Yun's punch. He said to the two, "Hurry up and tie him up. Do you want to wait for him to wake up?" Now, the leopard girl and the flowery monk definitely looked at the scarred clown in a new light. He actually dared to fight a super expert head-on. This meant that his strength was not ordinary. The fact that he could still stand after being punched by Su Yun shocked the flowery monk even more. After all, if it were not for the leopard girl's help, he would not have been able to stand after being hit by Su Yun's punch. Therefore, the two of them obeyed the scarred clown's orders. "Your opponents are now us." The killing intent that suddenly came from behind stunned the three of them. The scarred clown quickly turned around and saw two figures that suddenly appeared like ghosts in the distance. Chapter 127. Cho Yun opened her eyes wide as soon as she woke up. She looked at the person who saved her in shock. "Let's talk about it after everything is over." Yin Long and Fan Shuanger did not look relaxed at all. Besides, she and Azure Dragon Qian Feng were no match for the three top fighters. Cho Yun was enlightened. She quickly got up and looked at the other party. She was shocked. The Panther Lady was in the hands of the two enemies. What surprised her even more was that Su Yun was lying on the ground not far away. He did not have any reaction at all. What happened to Su Yun? Cho Yun was shocked. Naturally, she was most concerned about Su Yun. Qian Feng sneered, "Don't worry, the boss won't die so easily. He must have fallen into their trap." I, Azure Dragon, really didn't expect to meet an old acquaintance in the little Hadong city. The flowery monk was even more certain after seeing Qian Feng. I did not expect the violent fox venerable to find such a backer. "Scar, I'm afraid we have to be careful. They are all from a military organization in Hua Xia. They are not easy to deal with. Strike first. The scarred clown attacked Cho Yun with his dual blades. Chen Feng's eyes flashed coldly. In the blink of an eye, the dagger Autumn Water was already in his hand. Without any hesitation, he swung his dagger at the scarred clown. As the daggers met, the two had already exchanged more than 10 moves. Since you want to play with daggers, why don't I play with you? Chen Feng sneered. Of course, he knew the scarred clown's strength. However, based on the current situation, the other two girls were not as strong as him. He was the only one who could resist the scarred clown. Then I want to see what you're capable of. The scarred clown sneered. He suddenly leaped into the air and stabbed Chen Feng's Bai Hui acupoint with a move of Moon in the Sea. Chen Feng did not hesitate either. He took a step back and turned around to use the Divine Dragon Tail Whip to resolve the scar-faced clown's attack. Following that, the autumn water in his hand pierced towards his opponent's throat. Against such an opponent, Chen Feng did not hold back at all from the start. The scar-faced clown did not slack off either. After all, he had been hit by Su Yun's palm. His heart was strong, but his chi was weak. He had missed several excellent opportunities to kill with one strike because of his injury. The fight between the two dagger experts was like a flash of lightning, leaving no room for anyone to intervene. After a few attacks, Chen Feng was able to see through his opponent's physical condition. After knowing his advantage, Chen Feng's attacks became even smoother. Hee, let's not be idle. Another little sister has appeared. This poor monk is really lucky today. A vicious look flashed across the corner of the flowery monk's eyes. Since the fox venerable can't be touched, if this poor monk wants to sleep with this chick, you guys can't stop me, right? Hearing this, Fan Shuang-er was furious. She scolded, "How dare you, pervert! I won't let you off today. Let me deal with this person." Cho Yun's eyes flashed with killing intent. She would definitely not let this person leave alive. The dragon's abyss in her hand seemed to know its master's anger and let out a clear sword hum. The flowery monk danced with the pure steel Dharma beads in his hand. No matter who it is, this poor monk will definitely have a tender heart for the fairer sex. Cho Yun was furious. The dragon's abyss in her hand was like a flash of lightning. It was as fast as lightning as the phoenix's beak was aimed at the triangular area of her opponent's face. The flowery monk did not expect Cho Yun to be so fast. He had no time to dodge and could only block with the Buddha beads in his hand. However, the dragon's abyss passed through the gaps between the beads and was still aimed at the flowery monk's face. The flowery monk was shocked and quickly flipped the Buddha beads in his hand. As the dragon's abyss was a flexible sword, it was naturally twisted into the beads. Cho Yun could only stop. The panther lady did not say much. She suddenly jumped in front of Fan Shuang-er. At the same time, her fists turned into claws. The left claw pushed towards Fan Shuang-er's lower abdomen from her waist while the right claw struck towards Fan Shuang-er's chest from her waist. Fan Shuang-er practiced the Dragon 8 trigrams palm. Naturally, she was able to change her footwork and look at the 6 directions. She was not inferior to the panther lady's golden panther palm. Then, she lowered her shoulders and elbow chi returned to her dantian. She slashed and chopped, and a tricky palm strike was aimed at the panther lady's chest. If not for the panther lady's agile movements, it would be difficult for her to dodge. While dodging, the panther lady gathered all her strength. She turned around and attacked Fan Shuang-er again with the golden panther raises the sky. Fortunately, Fan Shuang-er's body was like a swimming dragon. Her waist was straight like an axis, and her movements were particular about twisting and turning. Although it was dangerous, she still managed to dodge the panther lady's attack. 6 first-class experts, 3 against 3. Everyone had their own unique characteristics. Moreover, their internal strength was equally matched. For a moment, no one lost to the others. Perhaps it was due to her imposing manner. Although Cho Yen was injured, she was able to use the Dragon Abyss flexible sword like the wind and water. With a single move, she forced Monk Hua to have nowhere to hide, and he could only dodge pathetically. After the panther lady's physical strength was reduced, she began to dazzle Fan Shuang-er, who was able to move her body and move her palms around. There were a few times when she was almost hit in the vital parts. The most tragic one was the scarred clown. He did not expect that Su Yun's punch would have such a huge impact on him. He could not successfully complete his breathing because of the pain in his chest. What he did not expect was that the kid in front of him could use a dagger so skillfully. He also had a clear understanding of the human body's vital acupoints. Therefore, he did not dare to be negligent. He knew very well that any mistake could cost him his life. After 100 moves, both of them were injured. However, Chen Feng then used his self-created move, Jing Ku stabs Qin. He managed to win in the midst of danger and stabbed his opponent. If the scarred clown did not use his left arm to block the attack, he would have already met the King of Hell. He was a first-class 9th-rank master, yet he was forced to this step. Of course, he was unhappy. Finally, he could not resist the temptation of the Yin Yang pill. At the moment when the Azure Dragon backstab came, the scarred clown did not hesitate to take the forbidden medicine that he had taken out earlier. Boom! Chen Feng did not manage to stab his opponent, but was hit in the chest by his opponent's fist. That kind of strength was definitely far beyond the strength of a first-class master. Chen Feng was shocked. He knew that his opponent must have taken that kind of thing. The Panther Lady and the Flowery Monk looked sideways. They did not expect the scarred clown to be the first to take the forbidden medicine. If you don't want to cause trouble, then end it quickly. The scarred clown suddenly scolded the two. If the three of us can't complete this mission, do you think there will be a place for us in the Blue Ghost sect in the future? The Flowery Monk's face trembled. He had almost been stabbed in the vital parts by Cho Yun several times. Now that he thought about it, he should have ended the battle quickly. While he was still thinking, the Panther Lady had already taken the Yin Yang pill in her hand. Fan Shuang-er was shocked. She knew that something was wrong. The Flowery Monk did not have the time to think. Both of them had already taken it. It was meaningless for him to continue wasting time. However, the moment he took out the pill, Cho Yun pierced his wrist with a light swallow. Ah! Under the intense pain, the pill in his hand fell to the ground. Cho Yun would not give the pervert a chance. She turned around and pierced the opponent's forehead with a sword. The pervert who escaped from the dragon's fury 3 years ago was finally punished on the spot. Chen Feng felt refreshed. He did not realize the danger that was coming. The scarred clown under the influence of the forbidden medicine was like a completely different person from before. His figure disappeared behind Chen Feng. Before Chen Feng could turn around, he had already been hit in the back. The overwhelming inner strength rushed out of Chen Feng's soul under the protection of his inner strength. He flew out like a kite and fell heavily to the ground. He finally understood that even if the Yin Yang pill would shorten one's lifespan after taking it, it would still not stop. The instantaneous improvement it brought was simply exaggerated. Azure Dragon. Fan Shuang-er was shocked. She had just killed one of the enemy's people, but she had lost a general right after. I'm afraid you don't have the time to care about others now, right? Panther Lady's cold laughter rang in Fan Shuang-er's ears. Fan Shuang-er was shocked, but it was too late. Panther Lady gathered all her strength and punched Fan Shuang-er 3 times in a row. Fan Shuang-er hurriedly blocked with her arms. However, Panther Lady's fists blasted out the Golden Leopard triple cannon and sent her flying a few meters away. Fan Shuang-er fell beside the unconscious Su Yun. Fan Shuang-er's arms were seriously injured by the inner strength from blocking, as if they were broken. Under the influence of the forbidden medicine, the two of them were completely different from before. Cho Yun saw that the two of them were injured, but she did not have the ability to help stop them. The scarred clown looked coldly at the Flowery Monk's corpse. He thought that it was fine for such an arrogant person to die. As long as he took down all of these people, it would definitely be a great achievement in front of Green Ghost. The death of a Flowery Monk was nothing. Panther Lady stared at Cho Yun. As long as she dared to have any other thoughts, she would not show any mercy. Chen Feng wanted to stand up, but a surge of murderous aura surged up and he spat out pus from his mouth. They were no match for a super expert under the influence of the forbidden medicine. If Brother Yun did not wake up now, they would probably be completely wiped out. Fan Shuang'er fell to the ground only a step away from Su Yun. She used all her strength to reach out and pinch Su Yun's philtrum, but because her arms were injured just now, she could not exert any strength at all. "Humph, you still want to wake him up?" Panther Lady sneered. "I'll count to 3. If you still can't wake him up, then don't blame me for being merciless." Fan Shuang'er almost bit her gums to the point of bleeding, but her arms were still unable to exert any strength. It was impossible to wake Su Yun up. Even if she knew that she only needed to pinch him, she could not exert any strength no matter what. This feeling of helplessness almost made her crazy. 1. A smile had already appeared on Panther Lady's face. She knew that they had won this competition. Although they had eaten the forbidden medicine and the flowery monk had died, they could still go back and report on their mission. Fan Shuang'er wished that someone could help her now. Cho Yun's heart skipped a beat. As long as she woke up Su Yun, she would just die. Cho Yun suddenly got up and ran towards Su Yun. However, at the same time she moved, the scarred clown instantly blocked her path and pointed a pair of daggers in his hand in front of Cho Yun. "I won't give you a chance, Fox Noble. You're originally from the underground world. It's much better for you to be with us than with them." The scarred clown sneered. Panther Lady had already spoken again. 2. Fan Shuang'er's mind buzzed. She suddenly thought of the only way. Without waiting for Panther Lady to shout 3, Fan Shuang'er suddenly used all her strength to pounce forward. She opened her mouth and bit Su Yun's philtrum acupuncture point on his upper lip. Chapter 128. In his dream, Su Yun and his friend Duke of Zhou were looking at beautiful girls on the side of the road. Just as he was burning with lust, his chrysanthemum tightened. A beautiful girl actually boldly ran over to give him a kiss. Su Yun had to give a passionate kiss. He directly envied Duke of Zhou to death. However, before Su Yun could enjoy the gentleness of the girl's lips, he felt a sharp pain on his upper lip. The pretty girl who was running towards him had turned into a tigress in an instant. F***ck. Su Yun woke up from his dream, only to find that it was not a dream at all. In addition to the sharp pain on his lips, there was also an indescribable fragrance that entered his nose, making Su Yun feel extremely carefree. "What's up with the woman on top of me?" Although he was bitten, Su Yun still felt quite happy. After all, there was a beauty in front of him, and it was not bad to enjoy it for a while. "Stop that woman." When the scarred clown saw Fan Shuang'er's intention, it was already too late. He shouted angrily, and the panther girl, who was only a few meters away from Fan Shuang'er, jumped off her short horse and grabbed Fan Shuang'er's head without hesitation. Fan Shuang'er did not care about her own danger and used all her strength to bite down. If this guy did not wake up, they would really be finished. Boom! Before the leopard girl could succeed in her attack, a pressure that blotted out the sky and covered the sun rushed towards her. Immediately after, her chest was hit by a kick that contained boundless true qi. Her entire body flew out like a kite with its string cut, and heavily fell to the ground. Everything happened so fast that no one saw when Su Yun made his move. The scarred clown was left with nothing but shock. Su Yun pouted and blew on his upper lip while hissing, "My mouth is not a ham sausage. It's fine if you kiss it, but you want to bite it off? F***ck. Isn't that too cruel? Even if you have never seen a handsome guy, you can't take the opportunity to bite me to death." Fan Shuang'er blushed. Before Su Yun woke up, she had hoped that he would wake up. Now that he had woken up, she really hoped that he would continue to be unconscious. Who told this guy to have such a bad mouth? The leopard girl finally understood the difference between a super expert and a fake super expert like her who relied on medicine. When the true qi completely pierced through her chest, she knew that everything was over. Once the user of the yin-yang pill was seriously injured, the side effects of the medicine would begin to corrode their body. This was because the injured person would no longer be able to control the medicine. They could only let the medicine continue to expand in their body until the user could no longer bear it. Ah! Ah! The leopard girl's body shrank into a ball. The painful expression on her face made people tremble in fear. The pain of her meridians exploding was unbearable for her. The scarred clown was shocked. He knew the strength of a supermaster very well. He had seen a supermaster go crazy in the prison of Marty Franz Island. That kind of suffocating feeling was definitely not something a first-rate master could withstand. It was not that easy to survive now. It was probably impossible to escape. The scarred clown had a terrifying thought in his heart. Now, he only had a chance of surviving if he held one of the other three hostage. F***CK. Boss is still the most ferocious. Chen Feng wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. He really did not expect Fan Shuang'er to be so ferocious. She could not even lift her arm and directly used her mouth to bite. She had the face of a goddess but the aura of a tough woman. Sigh, it was all the Dragon Brigade's fault. The scarred clown made up his mind and directly attacked Chen Feng's back. As long as he captured a hostage, he would have a higher chance of escaping. Su Yun did not hesitate to attack Chen Feng. After all, they were brothers who had worked together for many years. How could Chen Feng not know what Su Yun wanted to do? With their high level of tacit understanding, he did not care about the scarred clown's attack from behind. He did not even try to dodge. Instead, he threw himself forward and lay prone on the ground. The scarred clown was shocked when he saw the double blade attack. Chen Feng had just thrown himself to the ground when the wind from Su Yun's fist rushed towards him. The scarred clown did not even have a chance to fight back. Su Yun's fist moved like a drawn bow. His body was filled with strength like a drawn bow. Then, all the strength accumulated in his body was transferred to his fist bones and released with a loud bang. The scarred clown's originally ugly red nose was deeply dented into his face. The strength of this punch was so strong that Su Yun could feel the tremors on his fist. After all, the scarred clown was a top-tier expert. His strength was far greater than Scarlet Scorpion Leopard Lady and the others. Therefore, even if he was hit by Su Yun's fist, he still managed to withstand it. However, he swore that this was the most ferocious Baji fist he had ever seen. Su Yun's punch was sudden and fierce, catching him off guard. The unstoppable momentum completely suppressed the scarred clown. The explosive strength was like an explosion in the air. The scarred clown, whose mouth, nose, and eyes were covered in blood, took a dozen steps back. Even though he was 10 meters away from Su Yun, he still gave up the idea of escaping. With such a difference in strength, there was no way he could escape. If he tried to escape again, he was afraid that only death would await him. He did not have the confidence to take another punch from Su Yun. I admit defeat, but can you give me an explanation? The scarred clown threw the dagger in his hand to the ground. I'm an escapee. You must know the rules of Marty Franz Island's prison for serious criminals. If I go in again, I'm afraid I won't have the chance to come out again. I just want to know who sent me in for the second time. Su Yun smiled slightly. Of course, he would not pursue a person who had lost his fighting spirit. Since the other party had given up, there was no need to kill him. It might not be a bad thing to let Azure Dragon bring him back to gain merit. You've investigated this place. Don't tell me you don't know that my name is Su Yun? Of course I know. I'm just curious about your identity. The scarred clown's meridians trembled. He almost spat out a mouthful of blood. He suppressed it because he knew very well that if he could not suppress it, he would not even have the strength to stand and speak. He was not the only one who was curious. Cho Yun, who was standing at the side, was also very curious. Su Yun had never told her about his identity, although she was now certain that Su Yun's identity was definitely not simple. You want to know who our boss is? Chen Feng snorted coldly. There's no harm in telling you. After all, you'll know who we are when you go back with me. My boss is the captain and instructor of our Dragon Brigade's Dragon Fury team, Yen Long. The Dragon Brigade's Dragon Fury team. The scarred clown trembled. His nerves were indeed stimulated. Of course, he had heard about the Dragon Fury team. Many of the serious criminals who were locked up in Mardi Franz Island's prison for serious criminals were sent in by the Dragon Brigade. Cho Yun could not help but widen her eyes. He was the legendary Yen Long. There were a lot of legends about Yen Long in the underground world. Especially after the earth-shattering incident a year ago, Yen Long's name had completely shocked every master in the underground world. No wonder he was so powerful. He was Yen Long. Cho Yun smiled bitterly. She had long heard that Yen Long was not only powerful, but also a super pharmacist who was proficient in medicine. No wonder he could give her the 9 Revolutions Soul Return pill as if it was a powerful pill. Cho Yun would never have thought that she, the violent fox master of the underground world, would be saved by the former captain and instructor of the Dragon Brigade's Dragon Fury team. Moreover, he had been helping her. If this were to spread, who would dare to believe it? All right. What's the point of saying so much? It's all in the past. After all, I'm the former captain. Don't show it off. Su Yun waved his hand and said to Qian Feng, "Don't make a fuss." Fan Shuang struggled to stand up from the ground. She felt indignant. She did not expect the former captain to be such a jerk. When she thought of what this guy had said to her, "It's fine if it's just a kiss," she was furious. The scarred clown raised the corner of his mouth and smiled bitterly. "Since I was defeated by the former captain of the Dragon Fury team, I accept it wholeheartedly. You can do whatever you want with me." Qian Feng stepped forward and suddenly slapped the scarred clown's back. 2 needles pierced his Shinto and Ling Tai acupoints, completely sealing the scarred clown's inner strength. This way, he was no different from an ordinary person. Then, he handcuffed his hands behind his back. Similarly, Qian Feng also sealed the Panther Girl's inner strength and handcuffed her to the scarred clown. "I'll contact the police to deal with this. I'm afraid I'll have to trouble the police to send these 2 people back." Qian Feng looked at Fan Shuanger and turned to Su Yun with a cheeky smile. "Boss, I'm afraid Yen Long won't be able to leave for a while. I don't want to bring a burden back. I'll have to trouble you." Su Yun looked back at Fan Shuanger, whose face was full of scram. "It would not be easy to treat her injuries. Okay, I'll take the 2 of them. I'll leave this place to you. Don't involve the police. After all, I'm already retired." "I understand." Qian Feng grinned and nodded. Then he said to Fan Shuang, "Yen Long, hurry up and go back with the boss." Fan Shuang did not intend to listen. "No need. I won't let others take care of my injuries." Fan Shuang still blushed when she saw Su Yun. She hadn't forgotten her unromantic and unreliable first kiss. It was her first intimate contact with a man, and it was in such a situation. How could she feel comfortable? Of course not. Su Yun was stunned. This stubborn girl was really hard to deal with. "If you don't want to be disabled, you'd better let me take a look. Being hit by Leopard Lady's Golden Leopard triple cannon is no joke. If you don't treat your hands in time, I'm afraid they'll really be crippled." Fan Shuang was shocked. She wanted to raise her arms to prove that she was fine, but a tearing pain made it difficult for her to raise them. This time, Fan Shuang panicked. "You? Who are you lying to? Don't think that. I'll be afraid just because you said it so seriously. It's up to you whether you believe me or not." Su Yun shrugged and spread his hands. "Anyway, it has nothing to do with me. Whether you come with me or not, it's up to you." Cho Yen walked over to Fan Shuanger's side and said lightly, "I advise you to believe his words." Qian Feng also whistled and laughed. "If your hands are crippled, you can retire early. Ha ha ha, find someone to marry early." Chapter 129. Su Yun believed in Qian Feng's ability to handle things, so he didn't bother with him anymore. He just looked at Fan Shuanger and said, Hey, can you walk on your own? You don't need me to carry you, right? I'm not as weak as you think." Fan Shuang glared at him. Cho Yun didn't say anything. She just followed Su Yun silently. Chen Feng quickly threw the car keys to Su Yun. Fan Shuang-er's current state would definitely worsen her injuries if she walked back. After all, this stubborn girl wouldn't admit that she was injured. Su Yun didn't refuse. He asked where the car was and went to get it. Although it was late when the three returned to the medicinal cuisine restaurant, Ruan Qingxuang and Guagua were still awake. After all, there were outsiders in the restaurant, and Tang Jiu couldn't drive them away. Guagua was very helpless. Fortunately, Qin Wan-er came back and excitedly told them what happened after the auction. Everyone listened attentively to Qin Wan-er. They knew that the guy who bid 200 million ran away. This was great news for Guagua. It meant that the restaurant didn't sell. If the restaurant didn't sell, it meant that Feng Guagua still had a chance to be the owner of the restaurant. A second auction was bound to happen sooner or later. Seeing Su Yun come back, the people in the room were shocked. The three people who came back were rolling on the ground, especially the girl they didn't know. Her hands were hanging down, and she looked listless. "Dad, Sister Cho Yun, what happened to you?" Guagua couldn't understand the situation. "Who did you wrestle with? And Dad, why did the woman you sent away come back by herself? She stayed in our restaurant and didn't leave. You didn't do anything to her, did you?" Ruan Qingxuang was surprised. "Su Yun, Cho Yun, why were you out for so long? What the hell happened?" Who is this?" Qin Wan-er frowned. "You didn't fight with someone, did you?" Tang Jiu seemed to be the only one who didn't fully understand what was going on. She was indeed more knowledgeable than the other three. She could tell at a glance that the three of them were definitely extraordinary experts. "I'll explain this to you guys later. For now, give me a room. This girl is injured. If you don't help her deal with it, she'll probably be able to sign up for the Paralympic Games tomorrow," Su Yun said casually. "Let's go to my room," Cho Yun said. She knew how to repay kindness, so she led the way. Fan Shuang-er didn't refuse and quickly followed. She didn't expect there to be so many people in the medicinal cuisine restaurant, and they were all women. Only Su Yun was a man. When she came to eat in the medicinal cuisine restaurant the other day, she didn't see Qin Wan-er and Tang Jiu, the two beauties whose figures were so much better than Sister Budo's. This place was really full of women. But Fan Shuang-er didn't say it out loud. She just thought it in her heart. No wonder the former instructor of Dragon's Fury, a super expert, was willing to stay in such a small restaurant. It turned out that there was something fishy going on. Anyone from Dragon's Fury probably wouldn't want to leave. They were a group of guys who hadn't seen women since they were young. Fan Shuang-er didn't have much confidence in her appearance. She felt that everyone here was extremely beautiful. They were definitely prettier than her. Even in Dragon's Fury, she was the pearl in their eyes. There were so many beauties here. Wasn't this a paradise? Guagua looked at Cho Yun in surprise. This wasn't her style. "Dad, who is she?" Guagua pointed at Fan Shuang-er, who followed Cho Yun into the room. "There's still one at home who can't be explained clearly." "You brought another one back? You really don't take Mom and Sister Wan-er seriously. Don't you know they'll be jealous?" "Guagua." Ruan Qingxuang's threatening voice sounded behind Guagua. Guagua hurriedly ran to Su Yun's side. "Did I say something wrong? I really got shot while lying down. Guagua, the next time you hurt the innocent, I'll trample on you." Qin Wan-er gritted her teeth. Su Yun looked at Tang Jiu with a bitter smile. "Didn't I tell you to go back? Why did you come back?" Tang Jiu didn't avoid Su Yun's gaze. "I was just worried that after you were taken away by that woman, there would still be danger in your medicinal cuisine restaurant." Although Ruan Qingxuang, Qin Wan-er, and Guagua didn't understand what Su Yun was being taken away by that woman, they still listened very carefully. Especially Guagua, she didn't even blink. She listened very carefully. "Even if you stay, what can you do? Can you change your mind?" Su Yun was helpless. This woman was really crazy. She clearly knew that there could be danger, but not only did she not run, she even walked right into the trap. If I leave, I'll be too disloyal, Tang Zhou said. I know you guys are in trouble, but I can't leave on my own. I can't do that. You're too loyal, aren't you? Su Yun smiled. Okay, you're very loyal. Tang Zhou shrugged. Since there's nothing else, I'll leave first. I won't see you out, Guagua said to send her off. Su Yun didn't have the time to send her off. Take care on your own. Although it's very late, I really can't send you off. It's not that I'm disloyal, but someone is injured. The injured are more important. I understand. Tang Zhou wasn't angry. She left the medicinal cuisine restaurant gracefully. Ruan Qingxuang and Qin Wan looked at each other. The two of them looked at each other. They didn't understand how the woman who snatched the hotel with them became friends with Su Yun. After Tang Zhou left, Guagua said to herself, Dad, if you don't explain things clearly, I'm afraid we'll be completely lost. At this time, Cho Yun walked out of her room and said to Su Yun, if you don't want her to be disabled, then hurry up. Su Yun stood up and walked to Cho Yun's room. Guagua said unhappily, Dad, you haven't explained to us clearly. Don't you have classes tomorrow? Cho Yun looked at her questioningly. Guagua stuck out her tongue and ran into the room. Ruan Qingxuang smiled guiltily. She was so focused on listening to Qin Wan-er's chatter that she didn't notice the time. It was her fault that Guagua hadn't gone to bed at this time. Seeing that Cho Yun was angry, she hurried into the room with Guagua. Qin Wan-er saw that there were only two of them now. She hurriedly pulled Cho Yun to her room. What's wrong? Cho Yun was slightly stunned. Who's that woman? Qin Wan-er asked curiously. Cho Yun said, Su Yun's friend. When can he have such a friend? How do you know her? I think you look very embarrassed. What happened? Qin Wan-er asked a series of questions. Cho Yun didn't know how to answer. After a moment of silence, Cho Yun shook her head and answered Qin Wan-er's questions. Qin Wan-er was speechless. Seeing that Cho Yun was about to leave, she pulled Cho Yun and said, Why did the girl from the auction come to our medicinal cuisine restaurant? Shouldn't I ask you this question? Cho Yun said, When we came back, didn't you have a good chat? Qin Wan-er's expression was strange. How could they have a good chat? That girl and Guagua would quarrel after a few sentences. They didn't agree on any topic. Cho Yun didn't waste any more time with Qin Wan-er. She directly turned and went to take a shower. Qin Wan-er sighed, but Cho Yun didn't want to gossip with her. She completely ignored her. Seeing that Cho Yun went to take a shower, and Ruan Qingxuang and Guagua went to bed, Qin Wan-er curiously tiptoed to Cho Yun's room. She wanted to know who the ponytail girl was. Eavesdropping wasn't peeping, so it shouldn't be illegal. Take off your clothes, Su Yun said casually, as if he was talking about drinking tea and eating. Fan Shuang-er didn't understand it so easily. She stared at Su Yun as if he was a monster. She nervously asked, What do you want to do? How can I do it if you don't take off your clothes? Su Yun frowned. I can just roll up my sleeves. Fan Shuang-er's expression was still nervous. I don't need to take off my clothes, do I? Qin Wan-er, who was lying at the door, felt her blood boil. What was going on? Why did she have to take off her clothes as soon as she went in? Su Yun was too impatient. She didn't expect him to be so flirtatious behind their backs. No, she couldn't listen to this anymore. Qin Wan-er was afraid that it was inappropriate for children. She fiercely despised Su Yun and then quickly left. After all, Cho Yun would catch them in the act after taking a shower. Only your arm is injured? You don't have any injuries on your body? If that's the case, you don't have to take off your clothes. Su Yun was a little disappointed. Fan Shuang-er stared and rolled up her sleeves. Although it was only a slight touch, it was still unbearable. She didn't expect the panther girl's hand to be so heavy. What else do you want me to do? Am I not miserable enough? You can only blame yourselves for being nosy. Speaking of which, why did you and Azure Dragon come back to Hadong? Su Yun heard that Qin Wan had left outside, so he held up Fan Shuang-er's arms. They were swollen like this. The injury was really serious. Fan Shuang-er's arms were pinched by Su Yun. She frowned and said softly, "It hurts. Endure the pain. You can only blame yourselves for being nosy." As Su Yun spoke, he began rummaging through his backpack that contained hundreds of treasures. The items inside were definitely rare and precious medicines. "If it weren't for us, I'm afraid you would have been killed by them." Fan Shuang-er stared and said, "You don't know what's good for you." Su Yun smiled and said, "Kill me. It's better than having my lips almost bitten off. Don't pretend to be innocent after taking advantage of me. If it weren't for the crisis at the time, I wouldn't have done it even if I died." When Fan Shuang-er heard Su Yun bring up this matter, she immediately became anxious. In her anxiety, she pulled her arms, causing her to grimace in pain. "Su Yun, if you dare to speak of this matter, I will definitely kill you." Su Yun took out a bottle of Huang bone pills and threw it to Fan Shuang-er. "You should say this to Qian Feng. Who can I tell?" Chapter 130. What is this? Fan Shuang-er frowned as she held the yellow bone pill. "It's for internal consumption. The leopard fist used by the leopard lady focuses on the 5 fingers like steel hooks, strong and fast. You're lucky to have met me. Otherwise, even if your arms weren't crippled, they wouldn't look good in the future." Su Yun frowned as he looked at Fan Shuang-er's arms. "It'll be troublesome if they swell like an elephant's leg." Fan Shuang-er was a girl, and all girls love to be beautiful. Even if her arms became like an elephant's leg, she didn't want to live anymore. Fan Shuang-er had heard many legends about the former leader of Dragon's Fury. He was known as the super genius pharmacist of the Dragon Brigade. If it wasn't for the fact that he was a martial artist, he might have already become a pharmacist. "Then why don't you hurry up and treat me?" Fan Shuang-er was a little anxious. "Aren't you also known as Dragon's Fury's miracle doctor? Hurry up and think of a way." Su Yun pointed at the small bottle in her hand. "Didn't I give you the pill? This is a treasure. I wouldn't give it to ordinary people." Fan Shuang-er hurriedly opened the bottle. A strong and pungent smell rushed out. "Wasn't it too unpleasant?" "You're giving me this?" Fan Shuang-er suspected that Su Yun was deliberately pranking her. "This thing isn't expired, right?" Su Yun shrugged. "If you don't believe me, you don't have to eat it. When Azure Dragon comes back, let him take a look and see if he will snatch it from you. If it wasn't for the fact that I was worried about your arm bones, I wouldn't give it to you. At most, I'll just apply some heavenly fragrance ointment." Heavenly fragrance ointment. Fan Shuang-er was stunned. That was a holy medicine for external injuries. No matter if it was a bruise or injury, it could be cured immediately. She didn't expect Su Yun to carry such a precious thing with him. Fan Shuang-er didn't stand on ceremony and stretched out her arms. "Just give me the heavenly fragrance ointment." Su Yun searched his bag for a long time but couldn't find it. Finally, he realized that when Chong was injured, he seemed to have used it on him. "I don't think I used it." "Hey, you really hurt my feelings." Fan Shuang-er was so angry that she put down her hand. "Can you do it or not? Why do I feel that you're becoming more and more unreliable?" Su Yun glared at her. "Don't say that men can't do it." While speaking, Su Yun had already grabbed Fan Shuang-er's arms. Just as Fan Shuang-er was about to resist, she felt a special true qi gently caressing her injured muscles. It was a very comfortable feeling. Could it be that he was using his true qi to heal her? Did he want to expel the cold and strain in her body? This was definitely not something an ordinary person could do. One had to be proficient in the meridians and acupoints of the human body. Otherwise, it would be easy to cause secondary damage to the person. Now, Fan Shuang completely believed in Su Yun's medical skills. "Tell me why you came back," Su Yun said as he used his qi to help Fan Shuang heal her injuries. "When we went back, we only told Master about you." Fan Shuang felt that there was nothing to hide. After he learned about the situation, he immediately concluded that you were in trouble, so he wanted us to return quickly. Before that, he already knew that Green Ghost had brought people to River East, so he concluded that it was because of Scarlet Scorpion. Su Yun frowned. In other words, Dragon's Fury's people have already interfered with the Green Ghost sect's matter. Why didn't they send out the entire sect to eliminate him? Fan Shuang shook her head. "We did plan to do that before, but Green Ghost is not easy to deal with. He's either in a crowded place or in a hidden place, so we didn't make a move. First, we were afraid of hurting the innocent, and second, we were afraid of increasing unnecessary losses." "I understand." Su Yun laughed bitterly. "It seems like you guys have told him about my breakthrough in the Heart Realm." "Yes, Master already knows that you've broken through and entered the ranks of first-class experts," Fan Shuang said. Then she asked curiously, "Didn't you leave Dragon's Fury to break through your mental state? Now that you've done it, why don't you go back?" "Go back?" Su Yun smiled slightly. If it was just for this, he wouldn't have left Dragon's Fury to come to such a small city. There were too many things that were unclear, and Su Yun didn't plan to explain. But Su Yun knew very well that Master must have known that he was involved in this trouble, so he directly threw this matter to him. In any case, Master knew that he had broken through his mental state, so he wanted to let him experience it. If it was just for experience, it would be fine to ask him to help solve the problem, but he actually threw a burden to him. Su Yun was really helpless. If he wanted a helper, he only needed Green Dragon. Why did he send this newcomer who had just taken over Yin Long's position? Su Yun said to himself, "Old man Wang Yi, this idea of yours is really killing two birds with one stone. Not only will you let me experience it, but you also let me help you take care of the newcomer. You're happy and relaxed, aren't you afraid that I'll be crippled by Green Ghost if I mess it up?" A warrior who didn't experience a real battle of life and death wasn't a qualified warrior. Obviously, Fan Shuang was thrown here to experience such a battle of life and death. This was only the first head-on confrontation, and she was almost crippled. Wang Yi didn't say anything else? Su Yun raised his eyebrows. "Didn't he ask you to be obedient?" Fan Shuang's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. This guy actually dared to call her master's name directly. It was simply impolite. Fortunately, her master wasn't here. If he really heard it, he would be furious. Speaking of which, Fan Shuang really didn't make some things clear. This time, when she and Green Dragon were arranged to come here to help Su Yun, Wang Yi did tell them very clearly that even if Su Yun was no longer the former instructor of Dragon Fury Team, Yen Long, they had to act according to Su Yun's wishes. Regarding this, Qian Feng certainly didn't have any objections. Even if Wang Yi didn't want him to be obedient, he would absolutely obey in front of Su Yun. Su Yun was the only boss he recognized in his heart, and the only person he worshipped. I don't remember so much. Fan Shuang glanced down and said vaguely, "Master only said that even if you leave Dragon's Fury, you are still Yen Long." Su Yun understood in his heart. "All right, since the old man has already arranged it, I can't drive you back. However, the medicinal cuisine restaurant has limited rooms. If you want to stay, you will have to bear with it. You don't mind sharing a bed with me, right?" "What?" If Fan Shuang's arms weren't injured, she would have already slapped him. Su Yun said to himself, "As for Qian Feng, he will have to bear with it and sleep on the floor." Chou Yun suddenly pushed the door open and pointed at Fan Shuang, directly breaking Su Yun's plan. "She can stay in my room." "What about you?" Su Yun's heart was surging. Could it be that the Frosty Fox noble suddenly had a spring? Could it be that she had decided to replace Fan Shuang to warm his bed? Wait, Su Yun quickly shook his head. This kind of fantasy was absolutely impossible. "I will sleep on the sofa." Chou Yun's answer was very decisive. Obviously, she was already prepared to do so. Fan Shuang hurriedly shook her head. No, Azure Dragon and I have already booked a room not far from here. We have a place to sleep. The two of you? One room? Su Yun enviously asked. Fan Shuang'er stared at him. Of course, 2 rooms. Su Yun took advantage of the moment when Fan Shuang'er was distracted and suddenly squeezed a stream of true qi directly to the most seriously injured part of Fan Shuang'er's arms. Fan Shuang'er almost shed tears from the pain. If Su Yun's words had not distracted her, she really doubted that she could bear this kind of pain. However, after the unbearable pain passed, her body relaxed. Fan Wushuang couldn't believe her eyes as she looked at her swollen arms. She lifted them up and found that the heaviness from before was gone, and the pain had also completely disappeared. Remember to eat the yellow bone pill. Su Yun reminded her again. Don't treat that thing as a treasure. Fan Shuang'er really didn't intend to treat it as a treasure. Who would eat such a smelly medicine? Yellow bone pill? Cho Yun couldn't help but be surprised when she heard it. You actually have such a thing? This is a pill with a sky-high price. This is a pill that can improve the toughness of one's bones after consumption. How did you get it? Su Yun smiled slightly and said to Fan Shuang'er, It seems that I really shouldn't have given you the pill. You don't know what's good for you, so I'm afraid you won't remember me. Why don't you return it to me? When Fan Shuang'er heard it, she directly opened the bottle and poured a yellow bone pill into her mouth and swallowed it. Cho Yun's lips opened slightly. She was speechless. She didn't say she was going to steal it from her. Su Yun was speechless for a while. Then, he gave her a thumbs up. I forgot to tell you. If the yellow bone pill is not taken with water, it will easily make the user feel uncomfortable. As soon as he finished speaking, Fan Shuang'er felt like she was burning with desire. She felt like her body was on fire, and she desperately needed someone to put it out. Cho Yun also sighed. It seems that the yellow bone pill's special effects are not nonsense when taken with water. Coo 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 coo. Suddenly, the sound of a horned owl came from outside the medicinal cuisine restaurant. The third note was a rising note, while the rest were flat notes. Obviously, this wasn't a forest. Of course, there wouldn't be any owls here. Su Yun knew that Chen Feng was outside. So, he walked to the window in the corridor and responded to him with the sound of a horned owl. Coo coo coo. This was the communication code between the members of Dragon's Fury in the jungle. Different sounds had different meanings, depending on the length, pitch, and frequency. Just now, Chen Feng's sound meant that he was looking for his companions, and Su Yun's reply was to ask him to come up directly. Chen Feng heard it and jumped directly to the second floor of the medicinal cuisine restaurant. Boss, how's Fan Shuang'er's injury? It's no big deal now, Su Yun said. Come to my room. I have something to ask you. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.